We're also available for your convenience online at lacity.org, where you can click on live streaming webcasts of the council meetings, as well as archived footage of our past council meetings. And we also have links online there to all of our agendas, which are available in person as well here and in our city clerk's office. There's also links to our city departments and services and a host of ways to improve the quality of life for you here in Los Angeles. Finally, you can always use your telephone to call in and listen to the council meetings. That number is 213-621-CITY. It's called Council Phone, and again, the number is 213-621-CITY. And through that, you can listen into our full council meetings, as well as any of our committee hearings throughout the week as well. And that schedule is also available online at lacity.org. We do have a quorum today already, so Mr. Clerk, if you'll please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Weezer, Koretz, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Wesson, Zangarcetti. 11 members present and quorum, Mr. President.
All right, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Weezer moves and Mr. Parks seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Some mandatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Alarcon moves and Mr. Cardenas seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well. If we can run through the agenda, please.
First item on the agenda, item 1 is a item notice for public hearing, and that may be received and filed inasmuch as the applicant has withdrawn its application.
Okay, we'll receive and file that without objection. So ordered. Next items.
Items 2 through 9 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, colleagues, 2 through 9. Are there any specials that folks would like to call? 2 through 9? 3. All right, we'll call 3 special for Mr. Cardenas. Number 4 for Mr. Alarcon.
That was 3 for Perry.
3 for Perry. Gotcha. And 4 for Alarcon. Is that correct? Yep. Okay. Any other specials? All right, if we can. All right. Colleagues, if we can make sure that folks are in their seats and calling their own items special, please. Number 7 for Mr. Rosendahl. Any other specials? If not, let's go ahead and prepare.
Mr. President, do you wish to hold number 2, the ordinance? There should be 12.
We expecting Mr. Labange, is that right? Or
Yes, Mr. Labange.
okay, let's hold number 2 for Mr. Labange. Please, on the balance, prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 10 through 18 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. On item 11, the Bureau of Street Lighting is requesting that matter be continued to November 17th.
Okay, without objection, we'll continue that to the 17th. There's no objection to considering these items, so they're before us. Are there specials, Mr. Weezer?
15?
15?
I'm not sure we should call that special or just submit the substitute motion now. It's
If you have that,
more appropriate.
yeah, you can go. Is it a long substitute?
Nope.
Okay,
Just
go ahead.
technical correction.
Why don't you read it in now? If you have it.
Okay, I don't have it in front of me.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
just call it special.
We'll just hold- okay.
We'll do that
You
then.
got it.
Yeah,
No problem.
thanks. Okay.
17, if we could put that item over till, I'm sorry, 16. 16, if we can put it over till November 17th.
Okay, November 17th for item 16 without objection. Other specials, Mr. Rosendahl?
24 and 25, I don't know if you got there yet.
Almost. We actually we can't take that up till
Ahead of my
after
time.
11:15. So we'll do that in a little bit. Any other specials, colleagues, on these? If not, let's go ahead. We don't have any cards, so we'll open and close the public hearings. And on the balance, if you'll please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next item, please.
The guy right there.
On the continuation agenda, item 19 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay, anybody wishing to call 19 special? If not, let's go ahead and prepare the roll. Oh, sorry, Mr. Okay, Ms. Hahn?
It's okay.
Next items?
Items 20 through 22 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Item 20 is a commission appointment. The commissioner is ill today. Do you wish to take that up?
That came through our Audits and Government Efficiency Committee. Mr. Koretz, did you wish to take that today? Mr. Koretz?
Actually, Mr. President, that was waived at a
Okay,
committee
so it's
because
not
today is
listed
the last day to act on it. It's a reappointment.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's take that up. Yes, Mr.
That matter was before us on Wednesday. Mr. Diaz was sick, and we continue today. I understand he's still ill. Since it is a reappointment, we would request it to be approved.
Move forward. Okay. We'll go ahead and include that then. Any other specials? 21, there's been desire to receive and file that. Is that correct? Oh, sorry.
On 21, Mr. President, I believe Mr. Cardenas has to recuse himself. Do you wish to call that special right now?
Yes, Mr. Cardenas.
Okay, let's call the vote. 11 ayes.
11 ayes. Okay, those are approved. Next item, please.
On the continuation agenda, item 21 is an item for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. On item 22, are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, yes, let's wait. Mr. Cardenas will take that up just after these. So that leaves us with 22. Anybody wishing to call 22 special? Yes, Mr. Zion? All right, if we can open the roll on 20, please. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, that is approved. And Mr. Cardenas, if you want to step out for item number 21, we'll take that up now.
We'll come back to this. Let's get this one item. Wait, Mr. Cardenas gets out. We're going to do 21 right now.
Okay, Mr. Cardenas has stepped out, so on item number 21, if we can please open the roll to receive and file, excuse me. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Cardenas can rejoin us. And that would take us back to our presentations for Friday. We have on each Friday presentations for members of the community and important dates and occasions and accomplishments throughout Los Angeles. This is no different on this Friday than any other Friday, and our first presentation is from Council District 6. I know Mr. Cardenas is coming back into the room, so as soon as he comes back from that recusal, we'll recognize him for the first two presentations. Mr. Cardenas. As you're coming up, if we can take up the ordinance, number 2, if we can take the vote on number 2 real quick. Please open the roll on 2. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, those are approved. Or that is approved. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. At this time, I'd like to bring up Dennis O'Sullivan. At this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all of the brave men and women of our armed forces who have answered the call to duty when America needed them. Each veteran has a special story to tell, stories of heroic deeds, stories of camaraderie, and also stories of extreme bravery. Today, I have the special privilege of recognizing an extraordinary Angelino who has devoted his life to serving both his community and his country. A native of North Hollywood, California, Dennis O'Sullivan is an honorable discharge veteran of the Vietnam War who now serves as an active community leader here in the San Fernando Valley. Upon returning from the war in Vietnam, Dennis began what eventually flourished into a successful 15-year career as a motion picture camera technician, freelancing for major motion picture and television producers. And in 1990, Dennis began volunteering with the People in Progress, a social service agency that provides program services to the homeless and indigent and also contracts with the Veterans Administration to provide services for homeless veterans. Dennis has since been promoted within the organization to his present capacity as Executive Director. Dennis also currently serves as the President of the Sun Valley Area Chamber of Commerce and has been an active member of his organization for the last 15 years. In addition to his leadership role at the Chamber of Commerce and People in Progress, Dennis has sat on numerous advisory committees and commissions for the City of Los Angeles, and the list includes the Bradley Landfill Advisory Committee, the Neighborhood Council Review Commission, the 4th of July at Handsome Dam Committee, the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority Commission, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, the LAUSD Redistricting Commission, the San Fernando Valley Veterans Day Parade Committee, the Providers Collaborative of the San Fernando Valley, the San Fernando Valley Commission Forum, the Los Angeles Business Service Authority Commission. I'd say if Dennis had a nickel for every meeting he's gone to, he'd be a very, very wealthy man. But as we can see, he's wealthy in other ways. I'm proud to recognize Dennis O'Sullivan today and thank him on behalf of the entire City Council for his dedicated service to not only the citizens of the City of Los Angeles, but to our country. I thank you and honor you for all of your personal sacrifices made in keeping America free, Dennis. We're in debt to you and our veterans, a debt our nation can never really fully repay, but today we recognize them as best we can. My message to all veterans, as a nation you have served so selflessly, and from all Americans you have defended, thank you very much. We thank you for the lives that you've saved, and we thank you for the service you've rendered to all of us. And as a small token of appreciation to all of our veterans in attendance for their selfless service, I'd like to present this year's first challenge coin to Dennis O'Sullivan as a symbol of gratitude for his service. This tradition of challenge coins began in World War I, as a rich lieutenant had custom coins minted for all those in his unit as a symbol of loyalty. Narrowly escaping the Germans, one pilot in this unit produced his coin to a French soldier and had his life spared. That inspired the others in the pilot's unit to always carry their challenge coins. Today, the tradition continues. Challenge coins are presented to those whose actions have been above and beyond the call of duty, and it is to be carried on their person at all times. To ensure compliance, recipients challenge each other to produce their coin. If the challenged does not produce the coin, it is required that they buy a drink of choice for the challenger. If the challenged could produce the coin, then the challenger must purchase a drink. It's really important for us to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we are amongst men and women who served our country, and through the incredible experiences they've had, the lives they've been able to save, the lives that they've watched lose, the friends and the comrades that they had that they've lost in the field, yet at the same time, you will find that veterans have a sense of humor, veterans are wonderful people, veterans come back to this country, perhaps appreciating this country more than many of us. As you can see, the list of accolades that Dennis has provided to the city of Los Angeles and to his country is very, very long. So with that, I'd like to allow my colleagues to say a few words, and we'll present Dennis with his certificate.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I had my hat on, I'd salute you, sir. Being from the Vietnam era in the Army and dealing with a lot of the returnees and the issues, because I have a master's in social work, I was psychiatric analyst in the mental hygiene clinic, so a lot of what war does to our people. And as you and I both know, 1 out of 4 homeless folks out there in the street are veterans. And your leadership and your commitment has made a huge difference, and I salute you in what you're doing. As for the coin, I got one from the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and I kept it in my pocket for a while. I was starting to burn a hole in it, though. But it's a great tradition to remember one's colleague, one's friend, and one's mentor in times, or leader within the military. So again, I salute you, sir, for your commitment to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dennis, good morning. I know that you've been instrumental in the parade, the Veterans Parade, honoring our veterans, and every year you're there leading that charge down the road with all the great displays and honoring our military personnel from all branches of the military. So I want to congratulate you on receiving this recognition and also continuing with the Veterans Parade. I know it will happen again this year, just a few days from now, in the district that is the north part of the San Fernando Valley. So congratulations, best wishes, and you carry on that true tradition of patriotism in your activities here in the San Fernando Valley. God bless you, and continue the good work, Dennis.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Please. Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to announce another one of Dennis O'Sullivan's accolades. It's going to take place at our Veterans Annual Candlelight Vigil on Veterans Day. And this celebration this year is entitled Every Generation Has Its Heroes, and it's on this coming Wednesday, November 11th, at the Airtel Plaza Hotel, and it is free. The Airtel Plaza Hotel in Van Nuys. It'll begin at 6:30 p.m. and it'll end sometime before 10:30 p.m., where Dennis O'Sullivan will be our distinguished keynote speaker. And with that, I'd like to give Dennis an opportunity to say a few words as we bestow upon him his recognition.
Thank you, members of the council. I know a few of you are veterans and have participated in many of the events through the years. Mr. Garcetti, I've worked for you before on some of the issues of the homeless in Los Angeles. I just came back from Washington last night. Secretary Shinseki and the President have committed that within 5 years there will be no homeless veterans. And in Los Angeles right now, we still have about 47,000 homeless veterans on the street. They are putting their money where their mouth is. They are pushing you now to collaborate with them to really make sure that we have permanent supportive housing so that there doesn't have to be a homeless veteran. With that, thank you for the recognition.
Thank you for the service, Dennis, and thank you for the extraordinary service not only to this city but to this entire country.
Thank you, Mr. President. And with that, I bestow this certificate of commendation to Dennis O'Sullivan, a veteran of the Vietnam War and a great hero here in the community of the San Fernando Valley. Come here.
Come on, Ted.
Come here, Ben.
And Mr. Cardenas-Seno has a second presentation as well. I'd like to recognize him.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Mr. Rosendahl owes me a drink.
Only if you challenge him and he doesn't have it.
I have it right here, and I'm going to do it one of these
That means
days.
drinks are on Cardenas.
Thank you. Water, a glass of water, of course. At this time, I'd like to bring the ARC team up. Can you please come up? The 12s? ARC. Otherwise known as ARC. Come on, boy. Don't call them ARC. Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today to reaffirm the commitment to our youth and to the future leaders of tomorrow. As policymakers, we work with our staff and community to expand recreational opportunities and work even harder to identify funding for the construction of new facilities such as the skate parks, pools, and and stadium lights and new field turf. Apart from reaching our core policy objectives, we must continue to reiterate to our children the importance of balancing our academic and athletic priorities. Not every child who picks up a basketball is destined to play in a Division I school, although I'm sure all these young people are going to make it, or let alone join the NBA as a basketball player. Most importantly, our parents and coaches must use sports as an opportunity to demonstrate how we can succeed in other professions, such as public safety, engineering, practicing law, managing real estate portfolios, or even consider being the President of the United States. Let me give you a little bit of historical background of how this league started. Founded by Rich Goldberg in 1975, the American Roundball Corporation, ARC, a nonprofit youth basketball organization located in the heart of the San Fernando Valley that has been developing the character and skills of young people through basketball for more than 3 decades. ARC's year-round programs include the Next Level Basketball Academy, year-round leagues, numerous local and national tournaments, participation in local and national basketball camps, individual instruction clinics, and physical conditioning. ARC historically fields some of the best youth traveling teams in Southern California in every age group, from the 3rd grade through the high school, and has dominated the traveling team tournament circuit, including the AAU National Championships, ranking as the #1 program in the nation. Over 10,000 players annually participate in local ARC programs. The staff of ARC consists of current and former high school and college coaches, which is the main reason why our ARC has produced more college and professional players over the last 30 years than any other program in the country. There have been 38 former ARC players who have made it to the NBA, and at least 50 players who have played professionally overseas, among hundreds of other players that have gone on to play college basketball. However, there are countless numbers of former players who have gone on to success in many other walks of life, including those who have come back to help out in the program as coaches, officials, and administrators. The Board of Directors long ago decreed that no player will be turned away because he could not pay the fees. Most importantly, ARC provides scholarships to players that want to participate in the program but don't have the adequate resources. ARC currently scholarships over 100 players a year, and our coaching staff tries to help turn young players into well-rounded young citizens. ARC is a providential force for young people, putting many young players on the path to success. Today, we're here to honor the American Roundtable Corporation 12s for their participation in the 2009 12 and under 6th grade Division I AAU Boys Basketball National Championship. Representing the city of Los Angeles, the 12s traveled to Hampton, Virginia for where they competed in a 7-day tournament against the toughest traveling teams in the nation for a winner-takes-all AAU National Championship trophy. Although they came up short in the championship game, the ARC 12s managed to finish the season with a record of 72-5. My legs couldn't even handle 72 games. And finished the regular season as the second highest ranking team in the nation. Although the ARC 12s were one game short of a national championship title, they returned home to the most important team in life, parent and child. It is important for everyone to understand that our children will not succeed without the support of dedicated parents, coaches, and teachers. You may not have the title, but you have the most important support team at home, and with a little extra practice and hard work, each of these kids standing here behind me will one day reach the stars in many, many given fields. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the ARC 12s, and I'd like to ask head coach and founder Rich Goldberg, assistant coach Chris Sullivan, Mark Casanova, and the team MVP, Taylor Dorsey, to say some remarks on behalf of the organization.
I would like to thank the Los Angeles City Council and Councilman Tony Cardenas for this honor. Councilman Cardenas has been a friend and help to our program in the past when his office sent a representative to try to help us put together a sports center a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. Our team consists of hardworking young student athletes who excel in the classroom besides on the court, and are supported by parents who are doing a great job of preparing these young men to be successful in life. It is an enjoyable privilege for me to work with these outstanding young men and invaluable assistants. We hope to be able to get sponsorship help so that we can continue to represent the city of Los Angeles in national competition, and this recognition and support will motivate our team to even greater achievements. On behalf of the ARC, thank you very much.
Who's going to be the spokesperson?
That's MVP. Go ahead.
Are they always this shy, Coach? Really? They are? Okay, who wants to volunteer? We got to have one of you represent the youth. Come on, somebody.
Me?
There you go. All right, step up, step up, step up. Two of you. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Go for it. What's it like? What did it feel like going to Virginia?
My name is Christopher Martin. I play for ARC. We had a great time at Nationals. Like, when we got there, we was working hard. We really wanted to win a championship, even though we came up short. But everybody worked hard in practice, and we did what we were supposed to do. And, yeah, we wish we could have won, but we did. Yeah.
I'm Max Hazard, and at Nationals, we came up short for the third time in a row. But it's not that we're going to get them this year. We just need to practice more, and we all need to get better, and we all need to get closer as a team. But this team is like a family, and we all work hard together, and we all get along.
And you know the expression, fourth time's a charm, so it'll be all right.
Not the fifth, the fourth. Got to do it next year. All right. You going to promise to win next year?
Yeah.
Excellent. We got some awards for all of you. The first one goes to Tyler Dorsey. The next one goes to Blake Colquitt. He's not here? Okay. The next one goes to Bailey Kikuchi. He says he's a short guy, but I bet you can beat any one of us. Chris Sullivan. Robbie Feinberg. He couldn't make it. Max Hazard. Christopher Martin. Max Heidegger. James Casanova. Rich Goldberg. Chris Sullivan. And next we have Caden Wampler. No, he's not here? Okay. All right. Come here, young man. Come here, Max. Come here. I need you to say something. Do you have to be the tallest guy on the team to be a good player?
No.
What does it take to be a good player?
Hard work.
Hard work? Anything else?
Dedication.
Dedication? Anything else?
Not really.
Not really? That's it? Just 2 ingredients?
Skill.
Skill? There you go. How do you get skills?
From practicing.
Practice. That's right. Do you practice a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hang with all these guys?
Yeah.
All right. Good for you. And thank you very much.
And Mr. Cardenas, you embody that same principle. You don't have to be the tallest player to do well. So
Exactly. I know that.
All right.
But each one of these little kids can beat me any day of the week.
That's right.
I'm sure.
Congratulations. Thank you, everybody, for those presentations. We next have from Council District 7, Councilmember Richard Alarcon for 2 presentations.
Can I have the folks from Spectral Lab here? Moving from sports to high technology, it's my pleasure to be here to present to you Spectral Lab Incorporated. This organization was founded in Sylmar by Al Mann. Many of you know Al from his tremendous work in the biotechnology, but much of his work started in Sylmar. Spectral Lab was founded in 1956, over 50 years ago in Sylmar by Mr. Mann, who has gone on to become a billionaire, American entrepreneur and philanthropist, still very active in Los Angeles. Spectral Lab was acquired by Hughes Aircraft in 1975, and in 2000, the Boeing company bought Spectral Lab, and the company currently reports to Boeing Space and Intelligence Systems in Seal Beach, California. Spectral Lab's Spectral Labs cells power 60% of all satellites orbiting the Earth, as well as the International Space Station. As the representative of the Northeast San Fernando Valley and the Sylmar area in particular, I think it's largely unknown that that community is contributing so much technology to our world. Spectral Lab Incorporated's mission was originally to provide optical coatings for government programs. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we are better for it. Now their mission is to be the world's leading supplier of solar cells and panels for satellites, to develop a renewable energy business derived from its high-efficiency space solar cell technology, and to be the world's leading supplier of high-intensity airborne searchlights and solar simulators. So if you don't know what all that means, just know that the next time you see an LAPD helicopter flashing its lights down, those lights shine bright because of Spectral Lab. Spectral Lab is a socially responsible employer with over 420 employees, many of whom live right here in the local community. Why are we here today? We're here because they broke a record. They broke a record that most of us would never hear about other than a presentation before the Los Angeles City Council. So that's why I am here. On August 24th, this year, Spectral Lab Incorporated announced that a solar cell manufactured by them set a new record for terrestrial concentrator solar efficiency. What does that mean? What that means is that the cell can convert 41.6% of concentrated sunlight into electricity. Now, you don't have to be a scientist to know that that's a lot of power, particularly if you also know that the normal cell, the average cell, now grabs about 15% of the sun's technology, the sun's sunlight, which means that this can take our ability to use solar energy light years ahead of where it has been, and we should all be grateful, particularly given our efforts with DWP to expand our solar use. The U.S. Department of Energy National Renewable Energy Laboratory in Golden, Colorado actually independently tested the efficiency of this cell in June and validated that it had passed the previous record of 41.1% held by the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany. So Silmar is now past Fraunhofer, Germany. It was one of my campaign goals, was to do just that. I wanted to see if somebody was listening. Thank you, Tom, for that applause. So high-efficiency solar cells and concentrator systems require fewer cells to produce the same electrical output as conventional cells, enabling energy producers to generate more electrical power from typical industrial solar panels and pass on lower costs to homeowners, businesses, and other end users. As I said, you don't have to be a scientist to know that this is a really good thing. It should reduce our energy costs, but also our use of all other forms of energy and greatly improve our performance and productivity. So today we're here to honor, and we're very pleased to be joined by Dr. David Lillington, the president of SpectraLab Incorporated, to accept this recognition. Dr. Lillington has been president of SpectraLab since 2000, having joined the company, however, in 1984 as a member of the technical staff. In 1986, he became manager of advanced programs with responsibility for advanced solar cell development, and in 1991, he joined the corporate staff at Hughes, but then returned to SpectraLab in 1994 as manager of technology and investment. Dr. Lillington has more than 30 years of experience in solar cell research and development and manufacturing, and he holds 8 patents related to solar cells and panels. He received his Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Wales and a doctorate in physics from the Royal Military College of Science in the United Kingdom, and now resides in Rancho Palos Verdes with his wife and 2 children. SpectraLab is exactly the kind of company that we want in our communities, creating innovative technology and providing good-paying jobs. And yes, as a result of this record, they will be creating more jobs in our community. But the reason I am so proud of this country is they are moving us forward with the green economy that must be created. Without this kind of technology, we will not be able to make economic sense of some of the environmental needs that we greatly have. So I want to thank Dr. Lillington and all the people at SpectraLab for this incredible accomplishment that is going to change literally everyone's life in America and beyond. So we want to present this certificate to Dr. Lillington, who is joined here by Michael Kelly from California Government Relations for Boeing. First, this presentation is a certificate of recognition to Dr. Lillington for his personal achievements here. And secondly, here, you can take it. And secondly, we have a certificate that recognizes SpectraLab, so he can have one at home and one in the office. But thank you so much for your accomplishment. I know that that in doing your work, you're creating a better world. Thank you very much. Please, use the chair.
Well, good morning, everyone, and Mr. President and Councilmember Alarcon. I'd like to thank you very much for this award. It made me feel very old when you went back over my extensive history, but I'd like to just say a few words about SpectraLab and the products we make. I came to the United States, as you probably can figure. I'm from the UK. I came to the United States in 1983 and actually joined SpectraLab that was part of Hughes Aircraft in 1984. And I've been with the company ever since, apart from a short stint down at Hughes Aircraft in Torrance. And I've seen the company grow from about 20 million in revenue, 200 people, to over 100 million revenue today, and about twice the number of employees at SpectraLab. And I can honestly say it's the best company I've ever worked for, and we've got a great group of employees, and really proud to be their president. Our employees, or associates as we call them, number about 420 right now. And we're an extremely diverse population. About 78% of our employees are minority groups and 42% women. So that's something I'm certainly very proud of. And a lot of our employees, as you probably know, live in the 7th Council District here in Pacoima, Silmar, Van Nuys, and the San Fernando Valley. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the 7th Council District and Council Member Alacon for everything you've done for Spectralab. In the 25 years that I've been here, we've grown. You've taken care of our family, our associates at Spectralab, and they are certainly a very, very happy bunch. We have one of the lowest turnover rates in the industry, about 3.5%. Through the products we make, which is high-intensity searchlights and solar power systems for commercial satellites, national or NASA missions. Our products are roving around on the surface of Mars right now, and also critical applications for DoD satellites, providing critical information for our men and women overseas. So we're very proud of that, and as a result, we have an extremely high employee satisfaction index within the Boeing company. We're also very conscious of the environment, and do whatever we can in order to to help the carbon footprint. Which leads me on really to the reason for this award, and I'll be very brief here. Certainly we're very excited about the future. We branched out into the terrestrial business, away from including our core space business, about 3 years ago. And we've got a very aggressive growth plan that over the next 3 years will add about 150 jobs at Silmar, at Spectralab, and obviously with collateral jobs for suppliers. And we're very excited about the future. So extend an invitation to any and all of you to visit the company if you're in the area. You can make the contact through Michael Kelly, who's with me here, who is with Boeing Government Relations, and we'd be very happy to see you. And once again, thank you so much for this award. It's a great honor.
Mr. Labange?
Mr. Alacon, thank you. Congratulations. I just want to make sure you've been to the observatory in Griffith Park.
Yes, sir.
Good job. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Alacon, I know you have a second presentation as well.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. You want to take a picture real quick? We'll just have...
Is Gil Alvarez here? Oh, there he is. Well, anybody who's been to the Hansen Dam Aquatic Center would recognize the person to my right. Gilbert Alvarez is retiring from the city of Los Angeles, but what a tremendous addition he has been to our city family. He was born in Los Angeles, and in 1972 he was just 18 years old, having graduated out of Belmont High School, the real Belmont High School, by the way. And he was
There's still only one. Don't worry. It still is Belmont.
He knew what I meant. Gilbert was a competitive swimmer and cross-country runner, and so he tested for a job with the city, and also it was either going to the city or being drafted by the military in Vietnam. He avoided that, and we are blessed to have him since 1972, when he was hired, and has devoted 37 years of his life to the city of Los Angeles as an aquatic facility manager. A lot of people don't know, and I'm sure it's been said here, but I'll repeat it, that the Aquatic Center at Hansen Dam represents the largest public pool in the country. And that's under Gil's command, along with all the other facilities that he has to manage over there. I wanted to read Gil's mantra because I think it really captures the essence of what being a civil service employee is all about. He says, "I always knew that I was employed by the public, and it was always important to me to ensure that the public was safe, our facilities were clean, and that we offered quality programs and services." I really appreciate his understanding that he is in the business of public service. He's not just a pool guy. He is about providing services to our community. Some of his major accomplishments are that, of course, the Aquatic Center at Hansen Dam, established in 1999, Gilbert helped open the new Hansen Dam Aquatic Center in Lakeview Terrace and has been the supervisor for the last 10 years. But very interestingly, 5 years ago, when After the Los Angeles Triathlon had been discontinued, Gilbert wanted to fill that void and created the Hansen Dam Triathlon at that facility. 5 years ago, the triathlon's first triathlon had 74 participants. This year, there were over 1,000 participants, including our very own Becca Doughton from my council staff. She represents all of us.
How'd she do?
She came in, I think, second or third, or second or third 100, I think. She actually did very well. She was in the top 40%, her first time ever in a triathlon, so that was a very amazing accomplishment. I couldn't even do one portion of it in a day. So anyway, another important accomplishment by Gil was he created the junior lifeguard program at Hansen Dam. And since, while they prepare about 40 junior lifeguards per year, and so we want to thank him for preparing the next generation of lifeguards. He became a grandfather this past October 13th, his granddaughter Savannah Jean Smith, and he plans to spend a lot of quality time with her as much as possible. He plans on spending more time with his wife of 24 years and two daughters, Samantha and Andrea, and his son-in-law. He wants to remain active with the Hansen Dam Triathlon and ensure that it continues to grow and prosper. And then he wants to set aside time to water ski, scuba dive, target shoot, backpack, listen to music classics. This one surprised me. Listen to music classics like Benny Goodman. Doesn't look like a Benny Goodman kind of guy. I was kind of thinking Tierra or something like that, but he likes Benny Goodman. But most of all, do a lot of fishing, both ocean and fresh water. We want to thank Gilbert for amazing service to the city of Los Angeles. He's probably touched the lives of tens of thousands of young people and others who have used his aquatic facilities. And with the attitude that he brings to the job, that he is there to serve them, they have been better served. So, Gilbert, thank you so much for all the service you've rendered. I want to present this resolution to you, signed by all the city council members and the mayor, recognizing you for the tremendous service you provided to the city of Los Angeles. Thank you so much for your brave service. Thank you.
I'd like to recognize Councilmember Wesson to say a few good words as well. Mr. Wesson?
Councilman, this is a good man that you honor today. I hope, Gilbert, you enjoy your retirement. But I have a personal story where it relates to this phenomenal individual. 2 summers ago, I took 140-some-odd kids, well, I do it every year, on a camping trip. So Gilbert transformed Hansen Dam into Camp Wesson. He was there every day to check with us to make sure the kids had a great time. He got us a guide that took us on hikes. Personally, he gave me something to drive that's called a Gator, which is a souped-up golf cart, so that I did not have to walk over the entire park. The kids had the time of their life. He creatively helped us bring in the state where we stocked the lake so that the kids could do some fishing. And he probably was very happy to see us leave, because the first day that we were there, one of the little guys, our campers, slid down the water slide, swallowed some water, thought that he was drowning, and so all of a sudden I hear an ambulance, and I think Gilbert was there. The kid, of course, was okay. Then the next day, the same kid gets stung by a bee. And then later that night, when we did night fishing, a young girl got a hook caught in her eyebrow. Chuck Tenen was there. In fact, Chuck, cleaned all of the fish. But Gilbert had instructed his staff to do everything and anything that we needed to, for 3 days, transform the lives of these 140 kids. And Gilbert, it was a pleasure to be with you. I'm sorry to see you go, but you deserve it. And I just wanted to get up and let you know that as soon as I saw the name, I knew it was you. And thank you so much on behalf of 140 kids. I thank you for giving them a memory that will last a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson.
Good morning, council members, Council President Garcetti. It's been an honor to work for this city for the last 37 years. My success is largely due in part to my staff that has worked under myself, and also the congressional division, Congressman Berman, the 7th Council District, Richard Alarcon, Assemblyman Tony Gardenas, which helped us out with our first, when he was an assemblyman, helped us with our first fishing derby, and of course State Senator Alex Padilla. They've all been very involved with the operation at Hansen Dam, and I would like to also especially recognize the Los Angeles Police Department Foothill Division. They've been very helpful in maintaining a safe environment. Also the Office of Public Safety and the LA City Park Rangers. It's been an honor again to work for the City of Los Angeles. It's a great city to work for, probably the best in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
I'd like to ask one of the people from the Aquatics Division to step forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Councilman. My name is John Kapitsky. I work with Citywide Aquatics, and we've had Gilbert around for so many years that we're really losing a great tradition of service, as you mentioned earlier. At this point, we don't even know what we're going to do to replace him. We're going to do our best. We will do everything to provide service at Hansen Dam. But I just want to thank you for taking the time and the consideration today to honor him and to send him on his way into his retirement. So thank you very much.
Well, we all want to congratulate Gil, and he can join his family full-time now and be the grandfather I'm sure he will be excited to be. I just want to say that we did receive recent word that as you know, I do a lot of work with the film industry now, and we were contacted by a producer. They want to film Herb Wesson's Vacation, the movie, and although we don't know who's going to replace Gil after that presentation, Mr. Wesson, but thank you so much for bringing your kids out to the 7th Council District and enjoying a tremendous facility, Hansen Dam. We're going to lose a really good one. I hope he comes back every once in a while to teach the younger guys and women how to provide the service that we are so proud of as civil service employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. Our next presentation is from Council District 5 and Council District 10, Mr. Koretz and Mr. Wesson. We have world peace, dogs and cats together, right?
Well, apparently these two seem to get along, so we'll give it a try. I'm happy to be standing here for our first Feline and Fido Friday, since we're giving away a cat and a dog at the same time. Now, the one I have here is this beautiful Himalayan named Fluff, who is 6 years old, has a great personality, getting a little feisty here. And to adopt Fluff, you can call my office at 213-473-7005. Her ID number is A1074203, and if you want to grab a pen, I'll give it to you again in a minute. Generally, to adopt an animal from any of our shelters, interested parties can call 1-888-452-7381 or visit our website at laanimalservices.com. And Fluff is one of the lucky cats who's been fortunate enough not to be victimized by the inhumane act of declawing. Later this morning, the City of Los Angeles will have the chance to join San Francisco, Berkeley, West Hollywood, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, and other cities to ban this cruel practice. Now, Again, my office number is 213-473-7005, and the ID number for Fluff is A1074203. And now we have Councilmember Wesson with his dog for the day.
Thank you, Councilman Koretz. I have Beanie. Beanie is he's got a lot of energy, sweet as he can be, gets along well with cats, even though they say that this cat scared him a little bit this morning. And so Mr. Koretz and we're trying to score, what do we want, a double header today. We want to find a home for a feline and a home for Fido. Now, Beanie is a mixed Chihuahua, about 2 years old. He has his shots. He's microchipped, and he's ready to go. And as you can tell, he's a bundle of energy. And when everybody was here this morning, he never got rattled or upset or anything like that. I'm going to give him to Joe, because Joe has kept him calm all day. But, Joe, I want you to say, look, I would hope that somebody that's here today will adopt the what's the cat's name?
Fluff.
Fluff and Beanie. But if not, if you're watching this on Channel 35, did the cat get me? If you're watching this on Channel 35, call in. And the number that we can call is, I'll let you give a number, because I don't have my notes.
He's at the West Valley Animal Shelter, and it's in Chatsworth, and he's available right now, and you can call the Chatsworth Shelter directly at 818-756-9323. And he's available now. We're open today until 5 o'clock, and tomorrow from 8 to 5.
Now, I hope the camera really focused on Mr. Koretz struggling to contain the cat, and didn't focus when I was struggling to contain Beanie. But anyway, we're looking for a home. Please, if someone's here in the audience, you're looking for a companion animal, please adopt them. I mean, what you're really doing is saving the life of a dog or a cat, a squirming cat or a dog. If not, please call in for Beanie and Fluff. In fact, Mr. Koretz has just passed Fluff off to a bigger, stronger staff member, okay? Anyway, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
We did it.
With that, that'll end our presentations for this Friday. We do have the issues with number 3 resolved and the substitute motion for 15 circulated, so if we can please take those two together. And if we can open the roll. Okay. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. That will take us to our general public comment now. And our first speaker, this is for items that are not on today's agenda. So if you do want to speak on items that are on the agenda, I think folks have done that and submitted cards for those individual items, but it would be out of order to talk about that in general public comment. But anything else that's under the jurisdiction of the city, 2 minutes per speaker. And our first speaker is Darlene Korkaji, and after that is Chuck Tenon.
Hi, my name is Darlene Korkaji, and I am running for the 6th District City Council. And Tony Cardenas, I'm going to do a better job than him because he's lazy. He only hires his own family, and he doesn't do nice things by hiring other people. I'm the hammer that's going to knock him out of his job and rebuild my Van Nuys community because he can't. He's lazy, and he's not good enough to run this city. Thank you.
Chuck Tenon is our next speaker. After that is Karen Ostler.
Good morning, council members. Chuck Tenon. Over a year ago, I asked the City Council for help on the massive MLPA marine closures state initiative that would have a devastating effect on Southern California, but the City Council did not take note. Now, in disbelief, on Wednesday, October the 22nd, at the Blue Ribbon Task Force meeting, and the final plans to implement this massive marine closure, Councilman Ed Reyes sent a letter to the BRTF MLPA endorsing the support of Proposal 3 that was read before thousands of attendees, endorsing the Proposal 3, the most devastating of 3 proposals to close down our recreational fishing resources with loss of revenue, city tax revenue, loss of 20,000 jobs, recreational businesses going out of business, housing during this economic recession. Councilman Reyes heard us, trying to take away our God-given right to fish the oceans where we want to. It's going to cost $60 million a year to enforce, which the state does not have. Many thousands of Southern Californians were very angry at Councilman Reyes' letter that our city leaders would be in favor of these unjustifiable closures. Our recreational industry contributes millions of dollars to the city of L.A. in revenue, taxes, and jobs. Janice Hans, Port of L.A., the recreational and commercial fleet will be severely damaged, loss of jobs and revenue, and the right to fish in our waters. Councilman Reyes supports private money and politicians that use young school kids to do their dirty work in passing Proposal 3 to close down 1/3 of our prime recreational resources. Yet he supports the Friends of Our River and recreational fishing in the L.A. River, but not in our ocean. Why? Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Osler is our next speaker. After Karen will be Phyllis Doherty. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm here to ask for some help. I've got 4 kids. My husband and I bought a house a year ago. We love the community, but I have a neighbor next door, and I brought pictures, who maintains illegal storage of their recreational vehicles. And when I back out of my driveway, I've nearly been collided into more than 4 times. I need help. I'm working with the Department of Transportation, the LAPD, the city attorney, and nothing's happening. I need help. Parking enforcement says they've got their hands tied. They can't help because they can't come by every 72 hours. And quite frankly, they impound it and it's back out on the street. This morning, I brought pictures of the blind spot. I don't know if you all have copies. There's a copy for everybody of that, of what I'm dealing with, and the length of time by which I've been dealing with it. And this morning, I unfortunately could only bring 1 copy, could not stop at Kinko's with my 4 kids. I brought a picture of the property owner who knows it's illegal, rolling his car jack out to the camper. He jacks it up, pushes it about 4 inches, and then parks it again. So I'm just here asking, can you help?
Thank you. And you live in Van Nuys, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we'll see if we can connect you with the right council member. Ms.
Yeah, I certainly totally sympathize with you, and those were the kinds of complaints I was getting down in the harbor area, exactly the same kind of things. So we have an oversized vehicle ordinance that is now the law in the city of Los Angeles, and it just depends on, as you said, parking enforcement focusing on your area. But in my area, they're not allowed to park between midnight and 6 in the morning unless they're leaving for a trip or coming home from a trip. So that has proved very effective in my area, but many people said the same thing. It's a public safety hazard. It's not just an eyesore. It's a public safety hazard that it blocks your view. It's very dangerous. And people that are trying to get around our 72 hours just move it a little bit, and that's why our ordinance should address that. So hopefully your council member can work.
And we learned it's in Council District 12. Mr. Smith is excused today, but we're going to get your info and make sure that he follows up so that we can get you some help.
We'll see if we can help.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Phyllis Doherty is our next speaker.
Good morning, Phyllis Doherty with Animal Issues Movement. By the way, I want to speak in support of this lady because we have just been going through the same issue, and I do hope you address her parking issue. I hope that you all have seen the City Watch article this morning on throw the book at the dog dumpers. This was an incident that occurred in San Pedro, and it's written by a former writer for the Daily Breeze. This just emphasizes the problem of abandonment of animals in the city, and it's very important. And I want to tie that into something that's happening this morning. There's an ordinance that's coming on, number 25, on the cat decline, and it shows how quickly an ordinance can be passed in the city. I believe this was first heard on Monday, and here it is in final ordinance form on Friday. It took us 2.5 years to get the rooster ordinance through all of the layers of review, and we now have the issue of administrative citations that I've been working on for 4 years, and we are looking for a champion to bring that through in the same manner that the cat clawing issue was brought in. This will be a way that everyone that violates any of the animal laws, from abandonment to the sales on Santee Alley, the breeding of animals for fighting, or the import of puppies and kittens for sale to the public on sidewalks and illegal in the city, can be addressed in a non-criminal way on the first violation, and it will recoup the money to pay for the cost of enforcement of our officers. If the violation continues, it can be stepped up to a criminal state, but it's not necessary for everyone who violates laws to have to go to court if we can bring about compliance just by hitting their pocketbook. If you did not read my article in the Daily News 2 weeks ago, I hope you will, but I hope that someone will help us get administrative citations on the agenda as quickly as we did the cat decline. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is downtown. It's Mr. Arnold Sachs. After that, we'll come back here to Van Nuys for Daniel Gus will be next.
Good morning. Thank you. Arnold Sachs. I have to take this opportunity to discuss something that occurred on Wednesday's meeting, and that was the authorization to renovate this Bradley West Terminal and the falsities that were talked about in the meeting. First of all, it states in this article in the LA Times that, first of all, the council people parading or trumpeting the Bradley expansion, and I appreciate Councilman Reyes, not Councilman Reyes, the councilman who asked what exactly they were voting on, because the council people that were trumpeting this item on your agenda were talking about expanding the Bradley terminal. But the personnel from the airport were talking about building the Bradley West terminal. And I can guarantee that if you go out to the airport, you can go to the Bradley terminal, but you can't go to the Bradley West terminal. It has to be built. Even the president of the Airport Commission says we're building an entirely new terminal. And we pledge to do it on time and on budget. The question is, what's the budget? The original budget for the Midfield Concourse was, and the Bradley expansion, Bradley renovations, and the west and the south runway renovations was $3 billion. Then it went to $5 billion. Now it's $8 billion. So what's the budget? Additionally, the Bradley West project was greenlighted as part of a legal settlement reached in 2005 with the county, 3 airport adjacent cities, and a community group. So if the Bradley West was greenlighted in 2005, why are the plans for the Midfield Concourse? Councilman Rosenthal.
Thank you,
When
Mr.
you're looking for
Sachs.
money for your...
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Daniel Gus is our next speaker here. After that is Candido Maris. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm very proud of City Council today. It's been a long time since I've been this proud. Council members Koretz, Council member Wesson, Dennis Zine, Tony Cardenas, Bill Rosendahl, you are all on the right track. You are all thinking very progressively. I've never seen so many positive, humane matters being discussed at City Council as they are today. The dog and cat adoptions, you are forward-thinking and acting progressively, and I appreciate that, and the humane community appreciates that. We have a lot of leaders from the humane community in the room today. Dr. Jennifer Conrad, Laura Beth Heisen, the Spay-Neuter Advisory Committee that the City Council members have appointed. They've done a lot of hard work, and I urge the City Council to keep that progressive mindset and go directly to the mayor, speak to him personally, to hire a progressive GM for LA Animal Services. Kathy Davis is a very nice person, and so is Ed Boakes. We're not where we need to be. I believe that Laura Beth Heisen, who chairs the Spay-Neuter Advisory Committee, is a prime candidate, and I urge you to please continue thinking progressively and go directly to the mayor, not his staff. You're the mayor's peers. Ask him for a progressive GM of LA Animal Services because he hired a progressive chief of police for the LAPD. And now that that's done, we need the same thing done for animal services. And when you think progressively and do the right thing, I will be here every day to thank you very much for that. Hope you have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Candido Maris is our next speaker. After that is Walter Bechtel, downtown.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Mr. President, council members. Again, thank you very much for coming to the San Fernando Valley. We appreciate the time and effort that it takes to come out here. If you noticed on Van Nuys Boulevard, we've started a little early with Christmas. It's been a rough year, and we believe that people need to celebrate early. It's way before Thanksgiving, but we need to celebrate. It's been hard times. Behind me is Jim DeGeeter, Bill Garland, and Carl Fisher, whose families have served the city with the fire department, and we're here to thank you. Thank you and the mayor for the selection of Chief Beck. I know you'll move quickly to confirm him, but we also want to thank Deputy Chief McDonald and Moore. They've been outstanding. They've served this city, but they've also done everything they can to help the children who have problems with prevention, intervention, and re-entry. That's so important. We have so many kids, individuals coming back from the penal system that fall in the bad side because they have no program. So we want to thank you, Mr. Garcetti and council members. Ms. Perry, we want to thank you for the article that you put in the Daily News. I don't know if she's still here, but Ms. Perry...
She's a member of the South Coast Air Quality Management District, so I had to go to that board
We want to
meeting.
thank her for that article in regards to the police chief. And I would ask, Mr. President, along with the council members and the mayor, let's continue this movement in the city of Los Angeles. Over at DWP, we have issues. We've exposed some things. Changes are taking place. The best person to fit and to fill the position of general manager is Nick Pastoris. He's the true ratepayers advocate. It's all usually about 2 years that each general manager serves, but within that 2-year term, Mr. Pastoris will turn that department around. He has the respect of the workers, he has the respect of the community, and I know he has the respect of all of you. So we hope that you'll consider that. I believe there's a big outcry from the community that we need him there, and we hope that you'll follow that lead. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments
Thank
this morning.
you, sir.
Walter Bechtel is our next speaker downtown. After that is Sharon Brewer back here in Van Nuys.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. I wanted to say something more about what's going on over at the Ford Hotel. I've been reading some articles about the consulting firm, the relocation consulting firm that has been assigned to the hotel. The name of the firm is called Schober Consulting, and I was really shocked to note that 2 years ago on August the 8th, several council members rebuffed the company for representing another relocation place over at Lincoln Place, and it was in the LA Times, and I don't understand why you guys are sticking us with the same relocation firm. I can't get them to tell me anything about what they're doing. They've been warned several times by HUD, the federal government, to inform people of what their next moves are. And we're already having problems with relocation. I hope that you wouldn't do this to us if you've already, with Councilman Reyes and Councilman Wesson, disallowing them to be involved in the Venice place over there. Why did you stick us with them? They're the same company and they're still doing the same thing. And now somebody has told me that even SRO is doing some bad things, that they're not, that it's not going to be for extremely low and low income people, and that violates the LAHD's municipal code designation 47, I believe it's 47.73. It has to be for affordable housing. It cannot be intentionally for or even part of it to be intentionally for people with medium, middle to upper income housing. So please pull their cord and get us another relocation firm at least anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Bechtel. Sharon Brewer is our next speaker here in Van Nuys Council Chambers. After that is Miriam Fogler. Good morning.
Morning. Sharon Brewer, public comment. On October 2nd, 2009, at City Council, I talked about the Recreation and Parks telling the Friends of Lake Balboa that they would no longer provide park staff at the every other month Friends meeting. It was suggested by CD4 that the group try to work with Recreation and Parks. After 1 month and numerous emails exchanged by myself, a November 3rd email from Abel Perez to Carrie Barton, co-chair Friends of Lake Balboa, says, "We cannot staff the Friends meetings. We are now facing furlough, retirements, or staffing will be reduced tremendously. Asking staff members to readjust their schedules will affect our day-to-day operations to an already under-supervised workforce." Facts, the hours of Recreation and Parks staff work are 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. It's impossible for people who work to attend a Friends meeting. Friends are asking if the park staff, one person, could come in later on the day of the Friends meeting. Friends averaged 20 community members at its meeting starting at 6:30. The Sepulveda Basin Wildlife Area Steering Committee continues to meet monthly with a park staff present. 6 members on that committee, start time 7 p.m. If you are able to have a park staff person at a monthly Sepulveda Wildlife Area Steering Committee meeting, but no one for an every other month meeting for the Friends of Lake Balboa, why not have park staff 1 month at the wildlife meeting and the next month at the Friends of Lake Balboa meeting? It's not fair to the Friends of Lake Balboa for Recreation and Parks to favor one community group over another. The Friends of Lake Balboa have gotten the support from the Lake Balboa and Encino neighborhood councils to ask Rec and Parks to continue to staff the Friends of Lake Balboa every other month meeting. We are trying to work with Recreation and Parks, but they can't expect 20 people to take off work and stuff to come to a meeting that would have to be before 2:30 in the afternoon. So I'd appreciate, I tried what was suggested by CD4. If we can have any help with getting Rec and Parks to compromise, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Our next speaker is Miriam Fogler. After that is Daniel Wiseman.
When is the special?
Good morning. I haven't been here for a while. Of course, I am opposed to the CRA going over their charade. And I appreciate what Jan Perry said this morning in the ad hoc committee earlier. Anyway, I've been out for a while because I have a cat that I had for almost 22 years. And she was the most lovable, sweet cat. Even though she was the first one in the house, she welcomed 5 other cats. Can I have your attention, please?
You have it, ma'am.
So anyway, I've been trying to give her the most 10 or 11 care, and the veterinarians, they don't do a very good job. They charge you ridiculous prices. There's no medical plan for animals. So why are we having adoptions here for Mr. Wesson and Mr. Koretz when the veterinarians don't take care of the animals that they have already? You know, I feel that I got a poor service, and you know, my cat, she could have lived a little longer. She had chronic renal, so I've been trying to treat her for the last month, and it was a very difficult task on me. So a lot of people don't realize that the vets and the veterinarians, they're just in there to make money, and they don't care about the animals themselves. They just pass them up like another relic. Like, you know, 'cause it's hard to find animals that get along with each other. Even if you can adopt another animal in your home, consider the consequences if you bring another animal. That's just as bad. So you don't want to do that. And let me tell you, the hate crimes are despicable, what's going on, and we need to have CCW given out to people.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Daniel Wiseman. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, my friends in the audience. Looks like you get a bigger turnout here than you do downtown as a rule, and I think that's wonderful. It's unofficial, of course, but we always welcome you to the Valley. And we're very glad that you spend time looking at us. I'd like to make sure that you and others in back of me and on the listening video know about the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition, which will meet tomorrow in Mr. LaBonge's office area at the Hollywood Community, Wilcox and Fountain. Thank you, sir. That makes it official. We've been meeting there for some time, going over a whole series of problems which we try to bring to your attention. And amongst those problems are the independent ratepayers advocate, which has now been advocated by 3 of your members, by Jack Humphreyville, and as you already know, Mr. Nick Patsaris is also putting forth a charter amendment in order to be able to get good and accurate information to the public about the financial relationships of the DWP. As we look at the whole general budget, I would advise you that it looks like we need that kind of supervision for the entire city budget. The survey, which will be coming out soon, is going to be more of an educational event than it has been in the past, a fact-gathering place. But so far, and I must ask you, all of you, to pay a good deal more attention to permanent changes to the city's financial affairs, putting off the payments of retirement, putting off the payment of overtime to our police who've earned it, putting off, excuse me, so many other events doesn't do the trick, and we look forward to working with you to get something better. We're keeping an eye out for you. You know that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Wiseman. That will close our general public comment. If we can call the roll for the special meeting, please.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Weezer, Koretz, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weston, Zine, Garcetti, 11 members present and a quorum.
Okay, first items, please.
Items 23 and 24, items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, we have 23 and 24. Ms. Hahn?
3 special, please.
Okay, 23 for Ms. Hahn, and 24, yep. And so we'll call those special. Next items, please.
Items 25 through 29 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Any objection to consideration? Seeing none, those are before us. We had... Yeah, we're not going to vote quite yet, so hold on. So you want on 28, I'll call special 29 for Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Parks, are we calling 28 special? Okay. That leaves us 26 and 27. And do we have any cards on either of those? We do not. We'll close the public hearings. If nobody wishes to call those special, let's take up the roll on items 26 and 27, please. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. If we can take up items 24 and 25 together, there's been a request to do that. We have the precedence in this goes to the maker or makers of the motion, and then those who called it special. Mr. Clerk, the makers of the motion, again, were on the initial.
On 24, the original motion was made by Mr. Koretz, Rosendahl, and Cardenas.
They were all the primary movers? Okay.
That's the way it's listed on the agenda.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, any particular person want to go first? Mr. Koretz.
Hopefully 24 will be a short item because it is a request for an ordinance to be drafted. We already have an ordinance in our possession, so hopefully that'll just be routinely received and filed.
Okay, is there any objection 24 to receiving and filing that? If not, that will be the order. Item 25, we're taking them together. Did you want to make some introductory comments, Mr. Koretz, on 25?
Yes, please. Los Angeles has a long-time commitment to be animal cruelty-free that dates back for decades. And to be consistent with that, we need to ban declawing, which is one of the most cruel practices. The obvious truth is that declawing does nothing good for cats. It is not clipping nails, it is actually an amputation, sometimes leaving cats crippled and in pain for the rest of their lives. Some argue that declawing is done to save cats because they're scratching people or furniture. In reality, there are a lot of best practices to deal with this. Things as simple as clipping their nails, attaching rubber soft paws, which I used for a cat that had a scratching problem for a while. Ultimately, we got a second cat, and the fact that he was a happier animal completely solve the problem. In reality, declawing actually often leads to cats being discarded because they engage in bad behaviors as a result of the declawing. They often become biters, which is more dangerous and more harmful, and they often also stop using their cat box. Both of those things wind up resulting in them being turned into shelters or turned out in the street in their neighborhoods. Neither of those are a good thing. And typically, a high percentage of cats in shelters are declawed cats. Some argue that this won't be an enforceable law, but like our smoking ordinance, which everyone said when L.A. and West Hollywood and Santa Monica all passed their ordinances at the same time and created a regional smoking ban, this is going to be unenforceable. The fact is, it's self-enforcing, just as that was. In the case of smoking, it was self-enforcing by peer pressure. In this case, vets will not want to jeopardize their licenses. And when I wrote a law banning smoking, my apologies, I'm still sticking with that analogy, banning declawing of big cats, lions and tigers and other exotic animals, there was the same question expressed, that will this be something that's enforced? The fact is, it's been virtually never violated because the vets got out the word to their own members that this is now illegal and you can't do it. Nobody will want to jeopardize their licenses or certainly very few would be stupid enough to do it, to continue declawing. Some vets argue they'll lose some business, but the fact is, engaging in best practices will probably bring in just as much alternative revenue to their operations. Consistently cutting cats' nails for the people that don't want to do it themselves, attaching soft paws, selling scratching posts, all those things will bring in revenue that in most cases will cancel out whatever they lose by not being able to declaw. Another argument is that this is dangerous for folks who are I can't say it right, but with damaged immune systems that are compromised. I think just the fact that looking at the people who have authored these ordinances in West Hollywood and other places, you can tell by the authors that that's not the case. John Duran is someone who is a person with AIDS who actually has had a couple close calls in terms of staying alive, and yet he was the author of Declawing in West Hollywood. I've known over 200 people that have died of AIDS during the years I was in West Hollywood. I've written more HIV and AIDS legislation than anyone else serving in the state legislature. If I had that concern, and if John had that concern, neither of us would have authored our ordinances. The fact is that cats that are biters are much more dangerous, and cats that expose their owners to fecal matter are much more dangerous than the cat that scratches. So those are some of the reasons why I think this needs to be moved forward. We also know that there was state legislation passed that gives us a deadline that was passed specifically to make it difficult for me to author such an ordinance, since they sort of saw it coming when I ran for city council. I don't think we should allow folks at the state level to dictate to us our local actions, and since we have a timetable to get this passed before December 31st, I ask that all my colleagues join me in ending this cruel practice and ban declawing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koretz. Mr. Rosendahl.
First, I want to thank you, Paul, for making the effort up in Sacramento. And unfortunately, you got shot down by the special interest groups that see money to be made rather than health and safety of the animals. It's great to see that up in San Francisco, they approved the ban the other day. It's great to see in Santa Monica, they approved the ban the other day. And last night in Beverly Hills, they approved the ban the other day. So, bottom line is, if you have a cat and you don't like its claws, there's this little kit here where you can put little things on it to protect it. But the bottom line is, you take the claws out of a cat, you take away the cat. because a cat needs those claws to live like a cat does, which is climbing trees, catching mice, moving around in its own milieu. And some people have said, well, if people are on Coumadin, they got blood issues, they should. Look, I'm on Coumadin. I happen to take Coumadin every day for heart and diabetes issues. But I have my 3 cats, and they don't bother me at all. You take care of your animals, they ain't going to claw you. They're just going to claw what their nature suggests that they do. So, colleagues, I look forward to your support on this motion so we can put the ban in place prior to the state law that goes into effect in January. It's a no-brainer, as we're saying. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Zine.
Thank you. Just keep on applauding while we're moving down the line with this. I want to commend my colleague Paul Koretz for bringing this forward. And what I find amazing is the state is trying to block cities in California from moving forward on this after January 1st. They gave us a very short time to get this done. And I totally support this. I support it in Public Safety Committee. It's the right thing to do. But as cities around Los Angeles get involved in this, if they don't get it done by January 1st, the state law is going to ban them from doing this. And I think it should be a state law, not just a local law, because what people will do is simply go to another jurisdiction. They'll go to Inglewood. They'll go to Culver City. They'll go to Redondo Beach. They'll go to some other municipality in the Southern California area to get it done. They're not going to drive to another state. We're so close in our municipalities. The real emphasis needs to be the state of California make this a state law. And Mr. Koretz tried to do that before he joined us here on the City Council, and now they're blocking that, which is really a sad situation from the state of California to ban municipalities from passing laws. So what it should be, and I encourage those that are supporting this to move forward and have the state change their law to make it a state law that you can't do this in the state of California. You can't declaw cats. You can't declaw them in the state of California. That's what we really need. But I'll support this, and Paul, I want to commend you on that. And I think the cat got adopted this morning, if I'm not mistaken. I think it got adopted. I saw someone walking out with it. Either they stole it or they walked out with it, one or the other. Congratulations, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. I, too, just wanted to thank Paul for your work on behalf of animals and what you did at the state level and what you did in West Hollywood. Really want to I really want to thank you and show my appreciation for what you've done. And I think for a lot of people are just frankly uneducated about what this process of decline actually means. And I really want to thank you for the way you have educated me, you've educated anyone who really took the time to understand what this procedure really was about. Many times we do things and people wonder why we're getting involved, but I think when you laid it out, it was just such a clear case of animal cruelty, and it really fits everything else we've tried to do on the City Council to combat animal cruelty. So I really appreciate the way you educated us on this, and I hope by us doing this, we will really begin to set a trend, as Dennis said. Maybe it becomes a statewide initiative, and more people understand the real cruel procedure that this is for our little cat friends. So thank you for what you've done, and hopefully this will prevent cats in the future from losing their claws.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn.
There's a few claws around this horseshoe I'd like to get.
Sergeant of Arms, please take care of Ms. Hahn right there. Now let's have Richard Alarcon.
First, let me thank Mr. Koretz for bringing this matter forward as he did in the state. I do agree with Mr. Zine. Ironically, I do believe that it should be a state legislative task for a variety of reasons, but I was going to say, ironically, I thought that the spay and neuter ordinance should be local. And the distinction is that the spay and neuter ordinance should be crafted to the needs of a particular jurisdiction, whereas with decline, it should be a state mandate so that there is no unfair competition and businesses moving from one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction just to be able to do it. And but I would say this to those who are concerned that veterinarians are going to leave Los Angeles, then if that is in fact going to be true, then it just should drive us to work harder to pass state legislation against decline so that will no longer be a problem. With regard to those who say that cats will be abandoned when their clawing activities cannot be controlled through other measures, they will abandon them or put them in the shelters where they're likely to be put down. I say then let's just work more vigilantly to provide better practices information on how to prevent the scratching effect in the homes. I think that all of this is a part and parcel of a total effort to become more humane in our society. And that humaneness is not just about animals. It is about teaching people to be kinder to all life. And in doing so, I believe that we are teaching if we can teach our kids how to be kinder to their domestic animals, then perhaps they won't grow up to be gang members, and maybe they won't grow up thinking that violence is the proper answer for any of life's problems. So I want to commend you again, Mr. Koretz, for your leadership on this. This city will pass your animal-related legislation, unlike much of the legislation that you introduced in the state, where the state didn't have the courage to stand up for animals the way you did. Now you're in a jurisdiction where we do care, and we will join with you.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon. Thank you. Mr. Wesson.
1 second, Mr. Alarcon. I agree with you. Paul will support you. But you were there, Tony was there, and I was there. No sheep legislation this time, Mr. Koretz.
Councilman Tony Cardenas. Mr. Cardenas.
I supported it.
Right now we're talking about cats. Let's stay focused here. Let's stay focused. I think it's important for the people of Los Angeles to understand that we always want to do things responsibly in this city, and then also hold ourselves responsible to make sure that we pass ordinances that make sense, and ordinances are going to contribute to us having a humane city. This is a city that's going to arrive someday at being a no-kill city. This is a city that already has an animal cruelty task force and is now a model for the rest of the country. This is a city that actually took the lead with Mr. Alarcon introducing the motion, and I was glad to be a part of that motion and making sure that we have a spay and neuter ordinance that other cities don't have. Now other cities want to model. And unfortunately, Paul, I don't think all the 88 cities in the county and the hundreds of cities throughout the state are going to be able to beat the deadline. That's sad. But the city of Los Angeles is poised to beat that deadline. The city of Los Angeles is poised to do the right thing. But at the same time, I think it's important for us to understand that we as policymakers have a responsibility not to allow ourselves to be misled. I actually considered having some exemptions. If somebody has a disease or they're on blood thinners or what have you, perhaps they should be able to have their cat declawed. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people don't realize that when you look at this bumper sticker, when you look at this is really what declawing is. A lot of people think that all they're doing is plucking the nail off of the cat. Not that that's humane, but the fact of the matter is they're actually cutting into flesh and bone. And if we were to allow that to happen to cats, and which we shouldn't allow that to happen to anyone. But this is actually what it looks like. Cats can't speak for themselves. Cats can't explain what they're going through. And also, the varied results of these kinds of operations actually cripple some cats as well. So once again, thank you, Paul, for your leadership, and thank you for continuing to raise the bar and the consistency within the city of Los Angeles when it comes to us being a very humane city. Yet at the same time, I hope and expect that this council, based on our history, our recent history, we will be the most humane city, and this is a big component of it. So thank you, Paul, and also Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Paul, for your great work. And I was speaking with one of your former colleagues, John Duran, who said, look, if you have any issues about implementation, he talked about the success in West Hollywood, and I know that you all took a big risk when you first did that. It seemed to be one of those things that's very easy to caricature, and yet I think it's been borne out as one of the most humane and successful things. And West Hollywood, a very small city, has really sent out it was like the first stone thrown in the water, and the ripple is getting bigger and bigger. So thank you to you and Mr. Rosendahl and Mr. Cardenas for making this motion, which I very strongly support. If we think about ourselves as human beings, we know that even the taking off of fingernails, when that happens to us, how painful that is. We also know that that's a technique that's been used to torture human beings for a long time, and yet we've accepted that for our animal friends as something just normal. There are those who make the economic arguments that this is something that doctors do, and we hope that veterinarians who previously in Los Angeles City conducted this sort of surgery will stop and instead maybe use some of that time, and the city should look at continuing to increase the number of vouchers that we have for spaying and neutering and use that time instead to keep our pet population from growing out of control the way that it has. And, the work that we've done to make sure that whenever we raise permit fees in the city, initially that was supposed to be for balancing the budget, and I was glad to be able to put that into expanding our spaying and neutering program, and we still have so much more work to do, so that is critical for us to do. I also am worried, colleagues, that when we pass this, and it will require 2 readings, just for the folks that are in the audience, a second reading that will happen in 2 weeks probably from today. We will be able to come back, actually I think it's a week from Tuesday, excuse me. When we come back, because of the short time period, I would add one amendment, which would be to mandate an urgency clause in this, because for us to compress the number of days that it would have to be published, we do have a procedure to be able to make an urgency clause, Mr. Koretz, so I think that will help us compress that time and make sure we meet the deadline before January 1st. So I'd make that as a friendly amendment, and you have my full support, and thank you for pushing forward for everybody in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. We have public comment now. We'd like to call on Patty Schenker.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, City Council members. My name is Patty Schenker. I live in Pacific Palisades. I think we're going to pass this, and I want to thank you so much. I truly believe that whenever we confront and stop cruelty, anytime, any place, to an animal or to a person, we are making this world a better place. So I thank you. I just want to read a quick thing from Dr. Nicholas Dodman, who wrote The Cat Who Cried for Help. And this is what he had to say about decline. The inhumanity of the procedure is clearly demonstrated by the nature of Cat's recovery from anesthesia following the surgery. Unlike routine recoveries, including neutering, which is fairly peaceful, declawing surgery results in cats bouncing off the walls of the recovery cage because of excruciating pain. Even though analgesic drugs can be used post-operatively, they rarely are, and their effects are incomplete and transient anyway. So sooner or later, the pain will emerge. I thank you so much. I urge your support on this. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Patty. Members, we have over 25 cards, but the advocacy that's here today has agreed to select 5 speakers, so we'll now call on Marlene Goodman.
Good morning. I'd like to thank all of you for being so supportive of Paul Koretz's motion. I am grateful. I take care of a colony in a sanctuary of 35 cats, all of who have their claws and are very happy. And if you would watch them jump from one place to another, these are all indoor cats, indoor-outdoor, but it's all enclosed because there are coyotes in the area. But if you would watch them in their natural beings just jump from one place to another and using their claws to get there, as Councilmember Rosendahl, illustrated. It's just a wonderful sight. So I just want to thank you, and I want to just concentrate on this city becoming a more humane and having the education. What I find, I'm on our local neighborhood council, and I'm on the animal committee there, and I get a lot of telephone calls at home about issues like this. And what you really need to do is find a way to educate the people so they will know there are alternatives, like going to Trader Joe for $6 and buying one of those cardboard things which really make your cat stop clawing your furniture. So I thank you very much, and I hope this is only the first of many more things that will make Los Angeles a more humane place to live for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Dr. Jennifer Conrad.
Good morning, Council. I'd like to thank Mr. Koretz and Mr. Rosendahl and Mr. Cardenas for what they've done today. And for those in the audience who don't understand why this is such a big deal, declawing a cat is actually taking the equivalent of a cigar cutter and cutting off the first bone in every one of the cat's toes. It's incredibly inhumane. And as a veterinarian, I think that veterinary practice needs to move beyond inhumane practices and protect our patients. And I think that the Los Angeles City Council, by pushing this forward, is making Los Angeles a better place to live, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you very much. I am here if I have all sorts of data if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Conrad. Dr. Jean Hoff.
Good morning. I'm Jean Hovey. I'm a veterinarian. I can't say enough about how cruel this procedure is. Nick Dodman's description doesn't even include all the blood that gets splattered and the cats trying to throw their paws away from them to get rid of the pain. And the pain is chronic, and it's just now starting to be studied. I've researched this issue. I know the literature backwards and forwards. This is the literature that the CVMA says does not exist. Anybody's free to look at the originals. This is a cruel procedure. You guys all know it. Mr. Alarcon expressed it beautifully that this is the forefront of a movement in society to be more kind. And this is the city of angels. I look around, I see only angels here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Dr. May.
Good morning, City Council. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Armighty May. I'm a veterinarian. I'm here representing the Humane Society Veterinary Medical Association in support of a ban on non-therapeutic declawing of cats. I am a practicing veterinarian. I do house calls in Los Angeles and surrounding areas. And just a few weeks ago, I did a house call for a lady who needed her cat's nails trimmed. So it's very doable. We just need to be creative, and we can be more compassionate. I also want to point out that we got over 2,000 signatures in support of this ban on declawing, thanks to the efforts of Dr. Jennifer Conrad with the PAW Project. And just to emphasize the point about immunocompromised people not needing to have their cats declawed, as Paul Koretz mentioned, the public health safety risks associated with litter box avoidance and increased biting, which can occur after a cat is declawed, pose a much greater threat to a person who's immunocompromised than any potential scratching that could occur. And the argument that cats being relinquished to shelters is a problem is really not an issue, because a cat who's declawed is more than likely to be relinquished than a cat who is not declawed due to the behavior problems and litter box avoidance, which occurs oftentimes after the procedure. So thank you again for showing your compassion to these animals.
Doctor, thank you, and all those speakers. Mr. Clerk, would you read the names of others into the record, please?
Cards were submitted by Marjorie Loeb, Holly Dickinson, Sarah Johnson, Dana Kinsky, Dustin Lalena, Brandy Ferdig, Willow Evans, Paulette Rochelle Levy, Tammy Bryant, Dr. James Jensevold, Rich McClellan, Dun Durawala, Daniel Gus, Terrence Evans, Shane Willis, Sandra Bell, and Miriam Fogler.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon.
Members, I just had to point out, I have been in elected office for over 16 years. This is my 17th year in elected office. And advocates have used unique methods to lobby their concerns to me and do all kinds of strange things to get our attention. But this is the first time ever somebody made a cookie of a cat. So I wanted to commend Jennifer out of Janice Hahn's office for making these cookies with, if you can't see, but there's little red marks around the claws, and when I saw the cookie, obviously I had to support the matter. So I wanted to commend her on her unique form of advocating on behalf of animals in our city.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon and Ms. Hahn's staff. Members of the public, thank you all for your participation. If anyone did want to speak and filled out a card, we put it in the record. We thank you.
Mr. Labange, if one of the individuals actually did want to speak and wasn't part of the group, like Ms. Fogler, she should be allowed to speak for 1 minute.
Ms. Fogler, 1 minute.
Thank you. Oh, I forgot I get my cat picture here.
Hold the clock, please.
You know, I found her. Somebody gave her to me 22 years ago. Mr. Weston, let me tell you something. She was the dearest and my love of my life. And I have another cat at home situation similar. He came up to my door and they had to have claws. Because if they don't have claws and they come up to you and they want a home for you, they're not going to survive out there, folks, without nails. So let me tell you something. It's like taking your feet off and you can't walk anymore. That's essentially what they're doing. And they need that for clawing in the box. If you declaw a cat, you might as well kiss the cat goodbye because they can't, move the dirt and everything. Because they need that to perch the dirt and cover up what they're doing. It's it's a terrible thing to do this. And I'm glad that you people are standing up to the plate and doing something about it. I need compassionate veterinarians.
Thank you, Ms. Fogler, very much for your compassion. Now, Mr. Clerk, what's before us?
The ordinance is now before the council.
Okay, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you very much. This will be held over for a second reading. We need 12 members, so this will be scheduled.
Which, Mr. President, will be on November 17th.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Next item.
Mr. President, do you wish to stay in the special meeting?
All right, take the next item, the special meeting.
Item 23 was called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn, item 23 on the city-owned property for the purpose of developing a parcel, Pocket Park.
What happened tonight?
Oh, I'm sorry. We did have a request for 29 first, if that's all right, Ms. Hahn. I'm sorry. Okay, 29, Mr. Alarcon, which is also, and I know folks who are here for the animal issues, this is another animal services spay and neuter issue. Mr. Alarcon.
Members, and we wanted to expedite this item because so many members of the animal rights community are here. This is regarding the City Spay and Neuter Advisory Committee. They have completed their work. In fact, I am holding copies of their report, a very lengthy, I think it's 120 pages of work that the Spay and Neuter Advisory Committee did. In it, there are a number of recommendations for action. We are going through it to see what other city action we should take. But I'd like to invite the chairperson of the committee to come forward. I believe she is the appointment of Mr. Wesson, Ms. Heisen, Laura Beth Heisen, who chaired the Spay and Neuter Advisory Committee. And let me say thank you to all the committee members for the amazing amount of time and commitment that you demonstrated in performing your task on the Advisory Committee. It was my goal to extend the Advisory Committee to perform more work for the city because you did such amazing work. But we understand, and I will introduce that motion. In fact, I believe I did introduce a motion that would have the same effect, although it would not be under the banner of the Spay and Neuter Advisory Committee. We definitely want to continue that group, the work of the people that comprise that committee, so it will be under another banner to conform to city law. But But in any case, we want to commend all the Spay and Neuter Advisory Committee members for their work on and trying to make our city more humane and one of the most humane cities in the country. So with that, I'd like to ask Laura Beth Heisen to make some comments about the committee's work.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Alarcon, and all the council members. These are the people who were able to either take off work today or don't work and came with to help with. We got Suzanne Simmons, Maria Atakea, former commissioner of LA Animal Services, Elizabeth Orrick, Leslie Stein, Jean Marie Wisniewski, Bobby Dorofscher, and Rachel Papp. We are honored to be back speaking about spay-neuter with the council. Why should we care about spay-neuter? Public safety hazards from pet overpopulation, traffic hazards, and some of your districts have roaming dog packs. Humane issues include high euthanasia. Pet overpopulation brings roughly 55,000 dogs and cats a year into city shelters, and 20,000 of them are killed. Unweaned kittens are a direct result of failed spay-neuter. And in the last 12 months, taxpayers paid to impound and process 7,885 unweaned kittens. LA Animal Services spends $247 for every dog it impounds and $195 for every cat it impounds, $11 million a year. Pet overpopulation costs the city a lot of money. The three areas of spay-neuter that we focused on are outreach and education, increasing affordable spay-neuter services, and enforcement of the ordinance. Of those, increasing affordable spay-neuter services is the key. Outreach will not help if the people you reached can't find a place they can afford to take their dog or cat to be spayed and neutered. Similarly, is it fair to enforce against low-income residents if they truly tried but could not find affordable spay-neuter services? LA Animal Services treats everyone with household income over $30,300 as not being qualified for low-income assistance. For residents, a typical cat spay can be $150 to upwards of $200 and $300, a dog spay about $100 more. Even for people who don't meet the low-income qualification standard, that's too much for many people to afford. The limited number of affordable spay-neuter services in the city and the estimates of hundreds of thousands of unsterilized dogs and cats, including many owned by low-income residents, should have compelled Animal Services to increase affordable spay-neuter services for city residents once the ordinance began to be talked about and was passed. That is not what happened. From fiscal year 2006 and 7, when the ordinance was introduced in City Council, to 1 year after it was enacted, LA Animal Services reduced the number of spay-neuter surgeries it subsidized for dogs and cats of low-income residents by 4,469, or 25.8%, a reduction in the face of the spay-neuter ordinance. Our Spay-Neuter Advisory Committee was tasked with providing recommendations to turn this around and help low-income residents comply with the law. One of the more common ideas we heard was, well, the city just has to spend more money on spay-neuter. And that sounds easy, but it won't work. The city doesn't have the money to give. The committee's March 2009 report was a blueprint for spay-neuter success, a comprehensive strategy to jumpstart LA Animal Services spay-neuter. But although LA Animal Services did implement some of the recommendations, it missed each of the high-impact items. For our October report, what we really wanted to simply say was, do March. But this was our only chance, so we gave more. LA Animal Services says that it doesn't do more because there's no money, not enough staff. Well, that's also easy to say, but it doesn't help, and help is needed. So our committee did not dwell on what Animal Services cannot do. We looked for what Animal Services can do, and we found it. We imposed a rule on ourselves that all of our recommendations would be no cost or low cost or would pay for themselves. Our 15 members know Animal Services from veterinary, public relations, community outreach, legal, managerial, and animal services perspectives. Currently, the city allocates about $1 million a year for spay-neuter, plus about $300,000 from dog licensing that gets allocated to spay-neuter. Some of that goes to sterilize shelter-adopted animals, some for animals of low-income residents, and some for all residents. First, let's talk about the availability of affordable spay-neuter services. What options exist for a low-income resident wanting to comply with the spay-neuter ordinance? $70 certificates. In theory, these provide free spay-neuter for pets of low-income residents. But there aren't enough veterinarians participating in the program. Why? Well, one reason is many of them don't get reimbursed on time. Some have to wait a month, 2 months, and even 3 months to get their reimbursement from Animal Services. They're small businesses, and they can't afford this loan to Animal Services. Another problem is that the $70 certificate, while it's supposed to give you a free spay-neuter surgery, actually winds up costing the user a lot of money. Add-on costs at veterinary clinics can be huge. I called just 3 of the clinics yesterday and asked, how much will it cost me to use a $70 certificate? And I was told a minimum of $125 for the add-on costs, including pain medications and antibiotics and an e-collar and assorted things that should be included in the surgery. So when the $70 certificates are not getting redeemed, don't think it's because the demand is not there. The reason is the low-income people cannot afford the add-on costs. Low-income residents can also use the free spay-neuter vans that travel to their neighborhoods. I think everybody on the committee agrees that they are essential to the city. They provided 6,477 of last year's 12,815 spay-neuters for low-income residents. Problem is, they're limited in number. For example, if you call the Sam Simons spay-neuter van, you will be told that you have to call back. There will be a minimum of several months before they can get to you, and litters can be born in that time. What about the Animal Services spay-neuter clinics? City taxpayers paid nearly $700,000 each to build them, total of $4.1 million. All told, the city has 7 of them. One high-volume spay-neuter clinic with one veterinarian can provide 6,250 spay-neuters a year. That's a reasonable estimate, and in fact, the Harbor Clinic is doing that already and even more. Compare that, 6,250 from one clinic, to the current total of just 12,000 spay-neuters being provided for low-income residents right now. And you can see very clearly that it is essential that Animal Services get all of its spay-neuter clinics open for the public. Of the 7, after multiple RFP efforts, only 3 are open. Shorter? Okay. Only 3 are open. And what we recommend in the report is that Animal Services should operate the clinics on its own. We provide ways that it can do it in both the March and October report, because how can you expect people to comply with the law when Animal Services has not done its part in increasing the availability of affordable spay-neuter services? We have the means to do it. We spent the money. We need to get those clinics opened. All right, another key recommendation that was not taken was making spay-neuter a top Animal Services priority. That seems like a no-brainer, but it wasn't done.
You really have to...
I do? Okay, I'm sorry. All right, another one is to designate a spay-neuter program coordinator and other ways to engage veterinarians in the community. We also have enforcement recommendations. I was going to have Rachel Papp talk about outreach because she helps so much with that, and Bobby Dorfscher helps so much with enforcement. But since time is short, I hope everybody reads the report, especially the executive summary. And mostly what I want to say is that the report does maybe come off a little negative because Animal Services hasn't done its share, but it's actually a very positive report, because what it shows is that we do have in this city the resources we need to have a successful spay-neuter program. We have the clinics, the volunteers, we're increasing the humane city. We have you on City Council who care about this. We can do it. All we have to do is decide that we're going to and use the recommendations in the report. I want to thank Councilmember Wesson for appointing me. I want to thank all of you for giving this the attention it deserves. I want to thank the committee members who have been great through this whole thing, and I am so appreciative that we're paying attention to spay-neuter, and it can really make a difference for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I wasn't actually asking for a detailed report because I did want to make a motion that we ask the CLA to review the report and to pull out the substantive recommendations so that we can continue to take action on this. So with that, I make that motion. Mr. Wesson has seconded it. I also would like to say that we do owe a debt of gratitude to the committee, and I do hope that you can continue some work, although it may be under another banner, to see some of these recommendations through. And I look forward to working with you when the CLA comes back with the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the volunteer committee for all your wonderful work, And there are many, many great recommendations, and I'm sure we're going to try everything that we can as a city to implement them. But one thing that I'd like to point out, because my staff has read the report and I've reviewed it myself, and I just want to point out with respect to the department, it's inaccurate to say that by moving a body from one spot over to the spay and neuter responsibilities, that's not a cost. With all due respect, any time that any department moves a body from one position to another, there is a cost unless they're going to abandon in whole that other responsibility. And I think it's up to the department to be able to make the presentation to this legislative body as to whether or not that is a realistic opportunity that we will support. So those are one of the reasons why I agree with Councilmember Alarcon's direction to the CLA to go ahead and review this report and then to actually bring it to our attention in more detail, and it'll be a wonderful opportunity for the president and or the members of the committee to be there as well to apprise us of the accuracies as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas. And with that, we will go ahead and if we can open the roll on the motion to...
Mr. President, I believe there were cards on this item.
Okay. Let's go to those cards then. Thank you for pointing that out. We have Arnold Sachs in downtown, and then Daniel Gus here. Mr. Sachs?
Thank you. Just very quickly, I'd still like to know, and thank you for acting on this before the state legislation takes effect.
This is a different item. This is on the this is Spay and Neuter Committee.
And the report that was done that showed that the Spay and Neutering Act actually has a detrimental effect to ownership, that people will abandon more pets. They did a study. They said in L.A. there's more pets being abandoned because of the Spay and Neutering Act than there were previous. I mean, has anybody really looked into whether this study is, again, legitimate or not? It was a study done by the state. And unfortunately, I didn't pull the paperwork out, but I did mention it the last time this was on your agenda. There was a study done, said that the Spay and Neutering Act is more detrimental to pets than without it. And you have all these programs. I'm wondering, if Mr. Alarcon, that report has delved into any of that accusations. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Daniel Gus.
Hi there. When the Spay Neuter Advisory Committee issued its original report, it was lauded by this city council and especially Councilmember Cardenas, and it had a lot of recommendations in it. And as far as I know, I've read the original report, I've read this new report, and none of the recommendations have been implemented in 8 months. And I'm really concerned about that. I'm concerned that Councilmember Alarcon's shelter isn't open, and the shelter's spay-neuter clinic isn't open. And if you want to talk about an underserved council district, Councilmember Alarcon's district is as underserved as any in the city. We've spent $4-something million on these spay-neuter clinics, and they're not open. 3 of them are open, and only 1 of them is functioning well. And you have a brain trust here, and I really hope you extend the life or let it evolve into the next step on how to get these clinics open. I think Laura Beth and the committee have done a remarkable job. If only Animal Services would listen to their recommendations. It's one thing to talk about getting these clinics open and doing something about spay-neuter. It's another thing to actually get it done. And LAAS management has not acted on any of those recommendations. And I think you're pushing them to do that is the critical next step. Anyway, I appreciate you putting together this brain trust, and I hope you really use them to move forward and get these recommendations implemented, because they haven't been done now, and especially Councilmember Alarcon's district, Mr. Parks' district, Mr. Wesson's district. We've got to get these things going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas, did you want to speak a second time?
Once again, I appreciate your energy and your efforts, and as Alarcon said, we welcome you to continue in whatever banner or whatever capacity to assist us in making sure we do better and more implementation and better policy. But again, I take exception when you say the department has done nothing of improvement since March. You said that, sir. So the thing is, there are a lot of people watching. The department has been cut. That's no excuse for them to do nothing. But with all due respect, let me give you a case in point. You mentioned about the clinics, the spay and neuter clinics, that we now have facilities. Part of some of those delays, and by the way, the South Bay clinic has actually been open, but part of those delays, in fact, were Department of Engineering and other delays of that nature. So the bottom line is sometimes a particular department is unable to advance a particular issue, even when they agree with it, even when they're ready to go, but sometimes it is not allowed to happen until a certain date because other circumstances. So, and the reason why I want to point that out is because it's very demoralizing to a person or a department when we accept the idea that they've done nothing when in fact they have done some things. Yes, we have many more things that need to be done. Yes, sometimes things move very slowly. And yes, we're talking about the lives. We're talking about the precious lives of animals. And we do want to move forward as quickly as possible. But I take exception when people use the rhetoric of saying, have done nothing, or have done nothing to improve. Because the fact of the matter is, yes, we have a long way to go, but they have done some things, and some things are beyond this department's control. And some of those responsibilities lie right here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we have the motion before us. If we can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved, and we'll look forward to that CLA report coming back on this item. Did we have another request for something out of order? I think item 7, was it? I think Mr. Rosendahl asked item 7 out of order, if that's all right, Ms. Hahn.
That would be in the regular meeting, so do you wish to recess the special?
Yes, please. And Dick Littlestone has been very patient. If you'd like to come forward, sir, on item number 7, that is now before us. I'd like to address the public on that. Good morning.
Thank you. I'm Dick Littlestone, a 37-year resident of Pacific Palisades. This is about a motion that Councilman Rosendahl has proposed to you for a city commission parking study, which the community has requested. I consider a typical resident of Palisades and not one of those upscale A-listers that some of you have heard about. I grew up during the Depression in the Mid-City. I retired after 32 years in the Army as a veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and we stretched to buy for our retirement in the Palisades, and thanks to Prop 13, we're hanging in there along with a lot of other people. You may not have heard that one of the key incitements for Prop 13 was the suicide of an elderly Palisades couple who couldn't afford the increased taxes in the Palisades. About the parking situation in the Palisades, for years we've had discussions and meetings about them. There's severe dearth of parking in the Palisades, resulting in impact on residential streets and some commercial areas. We're requesting a motion for a study to provide not just a simple parking structure, but perhaps a multi-purpose structure would enhance and revitalize the village, which has been in serious deterioration over the past several years. And we would expect a rejuvenated village with a development like this to enhance the revenues to the city, as well as a benefit to the community by using, we would think, the parking fees that have been collected over the years and will continue to be collected. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Rosendahl?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Come on up to the table there. DOT is going to quickly tell you what it's all about. Bottom line is, folks, Dick, who just spoke, Littlestone, he's an amazing guy. When I first met him, he put me in his car and he took me over to an area to look at something he was working on. It was a traffic medium that was a beautification project on one of the corners. And he had a whole bunch of community people there committed to wanting to fix those streets and to make things happen and put the mediums in. This is another one where the Palisadian leadership has really focused on some of that money that they collect in their meters going back to an opportunity to have a structure to keep the village going and vibrant. Would you quickly tell us what this motion is about and where we're going to take it?
Sure. My name is Yadi Hashemi. I head the parking permits division for the city, and I've not been directly involved with the office street parking issue. However, I am very much familiar with what's going on in the area. In the last year, we have had to pursue implementation of 2 residential parking districts because of the encroachment of commercial parking, lack of parking for commercial facilities within the village. And I was present at the T committee meeting, and I believe that the motion directs LADOT to go back and identify a source of funding so that we can proceed with conducting a parking demand study so that we can begin the work of pursuing a parking structure in the area. Normally, we would have been able to tap into a special parking revenue fund, but as you're aware, there is no money left in the special parking revenue fund. And I'm sorry to say that the division that will be responsible for this work, I just noticed late yesterday, 3 of the key staff members have filed for early retirement under the offer. Nevertheless, we are committed to work with the residents, with the council office, and step number 1 is to identify a source of funding to be able to do the study that is required before we can come up with the parameters of the structure and what will be necessary to do.
Very good, and thank you for saying that without even catching any air. That was very good. And again, the Village in the Palisades is a real community. It's a wonderful place, and to give them the opportunity to have a parking structure is the right thing to do to keep it a vibrant community. Again, thank you, Dick, for your leadership in the community, and also for the neighborhood council that has taken it great. And you wanted to make a quick comment? Go ahead, Dick.
One thing here.
Yeah.
That special parking revenue fund, as I understand it, the council at the mayor's request has provided all the surplus funds to the city general fund, but they are being collected right now in this year's special parking revenue fund, and it was suggested that perhaps some of those current funds be set aside.
A little out of line there, folks, and I just wanted to give him great respect and let him make that point. And we all know this, council members, colleagues, that whatever the monies that go into the special revenue fund, again, we're going to fight for a piece of it to go back to the Palisades to build that structure. Again,
thank you, gentlemen.
So much.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Thank you. That matter is now before us. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Very well. Next item, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to stay in the regular meeting?
Yes.
Next item is item 4, and that was called special by Councilmember Alarcon.
Mr. Alarcon, number 4, please. Mr. Alarcon, number 4, special.
Where is it? Members, I just wanted to bring this item to your attention. It's regarding the services that we render, social-related services that we render through our network of community-based organizations and through city departments. This motion was instigated by my office to try and make it easier for folks who are eligible for many, many different kinds of programs, typically related to income status, would only have to fill out one application. So what this is the 1EAP program. It takes us to a new level of application process, so that if somebody walks in and applies, for example, at one of our centers for food stamps, they may also fill the same application will determine whether or not they are eligible for Medi-Cal, Earned Income Tax Credit, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, and about 20 programs. Ultimately, we are hoping to expand the program to include city-related services, such as DWP's discount program. We're not there yet, but we hope to come back in the next iteration with that. I'm very pleased to say that the Community Development Department did not wait for our specific action. They took action. They are part of the 1EAP system already, and our Family Service Network programs will be empowered to use the 1EAP program. So I just want to say thank you to the Community Development Department and the CAO for helping us make this program a reality, as well as the Chief Legislative Analyst and all the other departments that worked on this. And moving forward, I would encourage you to ensure that your staffs are knowledgeable that this 1EAP program exists, and if clients come into our offices for service, they can be directed to one of our service providers and go through one application instead of having to fill out 20 different applications. Ultimately, when we do bring the city completely online, it will also add a dozen or so other services that the city renders with one application. So that takes a tremendous burden off these folks, and frankly, will get them more more services that they deserve, rather than having to fill out other applications, and many times they do not. So with that, I want to thank, again, the various forces that put this together, and urge your support so that we can expand the One EAP program.
Thank you. That matter is now before us. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item, please.
Item 19, called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, what we're doing here today is something that I have been asking for a long time. I think part of our budgetary woes have to do with the fact that we have a lot of money out there that's uncollected, that is owed to us. I think something like $400 million in debt that's out there that can't be collected. That's water. Excuse me. So what I've been asking for, is there a way that we can put the word out to other collection agencies to help us collect this debt? And as soon as I get some water, I will continue this. But can we have the staff come up here? Ooh, Lordy. So explain to us what we're doing, so I don't have to talk.
My name is Jeffrey Whitmore from the Office of Finance. The Office of Finance was charged with developing feasibility or evaluating the feasibility of adding additional collection agencies to assist with the inventory of delinquent accounts that we have. We've been back to council, and we were charged with one of the recommendations was that instead of adding additional agencies immediately, which it was determined we could not do, that we add a second tier, if you will, of collection activities, or commonly what's called a secondary collection.
What does that mean?
After the initial 12-month period that the first collection agencies attempt to collect on the accounts, secondary agencies basically will use more aggressive means to attempt to collect via letter writing campaigns, telephone calls, etc. And our goal is really to ensure that we do take every effort to make sure that we collect every dime that we can on behalf of the city.
Do you think this will help us collect more of this uncollected debt? And am I correct in saying there's about $400 million in outstanding debt?
In terms of what is actually at the collection agencies now, it's approximately $280 million.
Oh, I thought it was
over $400 million has been referred in the life of the program. But what's currently at the agencies is about $280 million.
So we basically had to write off the other?
Some of it has been written off, yes.
And will they be able to collect fire and transportation debts?
Well, that is our goal. I mean, we have amended ordinances recently that will allow us to start to collect the EMS, or Emergency Medical Services accounts, from LA Fire. And in terms of DOT, they're currently under contract, which is a unique contract, and we're working regularly with the department now to see what improvements we can make in that process.
Good. Now, one of the things I always want to do, colleagues, is while we're obviously getting money that's owed to us to come to the city to help us balance our budget, I'm also a big believer in, can we reach out to local City of LA collection agencies, give them a boost during this economic times? Can we specifically require this RFP to have local business component?
We did look into that and evaluate the process. It was determined by our city attorney's office that unfortunately we could not provide actual preference. However, we do have an outreach program that we're engaging in. We've identified over 55 local collection agencies that we'll be contacting directly to make sure that they're aware of this opportunity.
How are you going to do that?
Direct mail, as well as, of course, normal publications, local publications, listing on the mayor's website of the opportunity. But those local agencies we will be mailing to directly.
Good. And when do these RFPs go out?
It is our goal to have the actual RFP, the conclusion of the development, by December 1st. So early in 2010, we hope to have that on the street and ready for implementation.
And when will they be awarded?
target of March timeframe.
Good, great. And then in 2 years, when the other contracts expire, we're going to go back out, right, with a new RFP to hopefully capture a lot of these businesses for a longer-term contract.
That is correct, and I think that gives us an opportunity, again, to open it up to everyone, local businesses included, to take advantage of that opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate the work of the Finance Department, our city attorney, and thank you to Bernard Parks, who I also know really has helped work to make this come to fruition. At first, I was told this was not possible, we couldn't do it, but we found a creative way to, I think, help include more businesses, and ultimately, hopefully, we'll be able to collect this debt, which will certainly help us to balance our budget and prevent any more layoffs or furloughs. So I appreciate all your work. I think this is a good thing that we're doing today. Colleagues, I hope I can get your support on this very innovative, creative way to collect debt.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Appreciate everything you said. Mr. Parks.
Ms. Hahn, thank you for bringing this up and not forgetting about it. Let me just, one of the things as we go forward, there's a couple of things that I think we need to consider in the next go-around for the RFP. I just think it's excessive to have only 3 companies dealing with over 300,000 cases, that we need to divvy that up so that there's more energy put behind those returns in that first year. The other thing is that I understand that after this process has moved forward, we have a number of cases that have gone to the city attorney's office. Are you aware of what the status of some of those cases? Have they been filed? Are they pending, or just where are we?
I don't have specific numbers for you, but we have been in touch with the city attorney's office, and I do know that they have a tracking system that they forwarded to us recently that we're in the process of reconciling and evaluating to make sure that as many cases as possible have been filed, and we just want to make sure that nothing runs out of statute and that action has occurred on all of those cases.
Okay, because we heard rumors of excess of $100 million worth of cases that haven't gotten into the legal system. Is that anywhere close?
That number does not sound familiar to me.
Okay.
But that is certainly something I can report back to you on.
Let me ask you, how long would it take you to reconcile what they've given you?
As I mentioned, we've received that information recently. We're in the process of doing that as we speak, and without making a firm commitment, I'm assuming within 3 or 4 weeks we should be able to.
One of the things we'll do then is put it on the agenda for Budget and Finance, because the 2 things that we're looking for is determine where we are on the judicial part of it, but also the process that we've asked you to look at to where Office of Finance can also have the ability to place a lien. We'd like to get both of those resolved, because I believe it will give us a real handle on getting more funds into the system. But I just think for the future, when we go out for RFPs in 2 years, I think we just need to be considerate that that is a major, I think, workload to give 3 firms over 300,000 cases. So we need to maybe spread them out and have more firms on the primary side.
We will definitely take that into consideration. Okay. And just for clarification, on the time frame, I would feel much more comfortable as opposed to...
No, we're not going to hit you on the exact date. Just let you know in the near future when we get it on the agenda, those would be 2 items that we'd like to bring forward to get an update of where we are with those cases being filed, and where are we on the issue of finance doing the liens, those 2 issues.
We will definitely report back on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. There's nobody else on the queue. Open the roll, close the rolls, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Item 22, called special by Councilmember Zine.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. On this matter, while we're talking about money and recouping money, as a member of the Southern California Association of Governments, the city is a member of that distinguished group of cities. We pay a dues of $307,861 a year to be a member, and they have recently offered a waiver of 10% of the fees, which comes out to $30,786. So I'm requesting that we have the CAO move forward to have that $30,786 returned to the general fund. Also, instruct the CAO on this matter, since we are members of the National League of Cities, California League of Cities, Independent Cities, Contract Cities, and some COGS. Most of those organizations have reduced their staff, and most of the cities have requested a reduction in fees. And if we can have our share back, if it's 10% of the dollars, there's probably well over $100,000 that we could recoup to the general fund. And then we could determine what we're going to do with that money once it gets to the general fund, if we have an intended purpose for it. So with this particular matter, I would request that we contact Southern California Association of Governments, also known as SCAG, for the 10%, which again is $30,786, but also pursue with the other organizations that were members, and there may be other organizations where the city pays dues to be a member, and there's an assessment of membership, and most of them are returning a percentage, whether it's 10% or a larger percentage, since they have been able to cut their staffs and they've been reducing their expenditures. So I would request that we do that, put that money in the general fund, and then we can decide what we wish to do with it. As we know, the general fund is still $100 million short of balance. So that would be my request on this motion, and have the CAO report and move forward on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zine. I just want to thank you for going through these details and making sure that you save the city $30,000 just on the SCAG fees. But as you just mentioned, I think it's important for the city to review all of its fees and all of its memberships and negotiate with those organizations to make sure that we can save that money. So I just want to thank you, because a lot of people think, well, if you've got a $100 million deficit, how are you going to pare that down? Well, in some cases, it's $30,000 here, $1 million there, and we will get there. So thank you very much, Councilmember Zine, for making sure that we're all reminded every dollar is good money. It might not sound like a lot when you're looking at the daunting task of $100 million cuts, but every dollar should be respected and appreciated. So thank you for that effort, Mr. Zine.
Thank you. With that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Due to Mr. Zine's advocacy, that passes unanimously. And if we can reconsider 10 and 18 and 20, we had cards that came in just as we were voting on those. We'll take those cards up. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
We can take those up simultaneously, please. And how much time does Mr. Sachs have? Does he have the full the regular meeting? Okay, so you have 4 minutes left, Mr. Sachs? Or 3 minutes left? Is that what's the balance? Okay, if you have 3 minutes left, Mr. Sachs, we'll take these up together. If you want to discuss items 10, 18, and 20, we'd be happy to just give you 3 minutes, and you can split your time accordingly. Just to remind you, number 10 is the ongoing American Recovery and Reinvestment Act item, which there's no action on today. Number 18 is the parcel map specifically on the streets having to be on North Bayview Avenue and North Andesol. And then number 20 is on the appointment of Fernando Diaz. Mr. Sachs.
Item number 10, very quickly, I just wanted to mention that in Wednesday's meeting, I believe Ms. Hahn was quoted as stating that the work at the airport would be the Federal Stimulus Act fund, would be where the Federal Stimulus Act funding was going to go, because the city has no other projects in line. So I'm wondering, why not? Well, isn't there projects going on at the harbor? And again, there's stories regarding
He gets 3 minutes total, though.
the stimulus funding and the projects, the construction jobs to be created are really jobs that were already in the pipeline. Not new jobs to be created, not new projects to be created. As far as item number 18, or item number 11, which is an ordinance, I believe. An ordinance first. So I'm asking for clarification on what the penalty is, because we had a story about an ordinance violation, somebody being threatened with jail for a municipal violation, a code violation, but what would be the penalty regarding an ordinance violation in the city municipal code? Maybe the city attorney, who's not bound by the Brown Act, could answer that and clarify it for the public. and what exactly it means when you hold an ordinance over, when it takes effect, so that people would understand that, like with this problem with the billboard ordinance, that there was time to act on it before the last 30 seconds that was necessary, that was played out, this drama that played out in city council. And maybe again, what the penalties are and who enforces these and code violations and that. And I'd certainly appreciate if the city council attorney could clarify those actions. Again, not bound by the Brown Act. And then finally, item number 18, I believe, was your appointment. I'm sorry.
The reappointment and the quality and productivity.
Reappointment of the quality control ordinance. And I believe yesterday there was a story, in today's newspaper, that you took some action on Wednesday, eliminating 4 hours of pay, 4 hours for your staffs and department heads over their 2-week pay period. So it comes out to 2 hours a week. And I was wondering, since this just took place and the appointment was made before, the reappointment was made before you took that action, would this person be considered to withdraw his name because 4 hours every 2 weeks, how is he going to get quality control out of that?
Thank you so much for your comments today. That will close our public comment on those 3 items. If we can please open the roll again, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you. We'll go back to the special meeting now. Item 23 is next.
Called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn, item number 23, special for you.
Thank you. Colleagues, this is just one of those really great things that we're able to do in the community of Watts today. We've been able to secure a piece of vacant property right off the Imperial Highway off-ramp that has been vacant and blighted for a while. And the Watts Neighborhood Council applied for one of those beautification grant funds, and they were able to secure $25,000, which will be used to turn this vacant property into a pocket park. And the pocket park will be named in honor of Mrs. Arvella Grigsby, who has been a community leader in South Los Angeles for over 40 years. So just a good opportunity. This piece of property will be an area that will just provide more green space for the community. We already named the adjacent street to this property Arvella Grigsby Place, because of all the work that she's done for many, many years in that community. So I just wanted to highlight this as a good example of a neighborhood council working with the city to team up to ultimately provide a little piece of green space in an area that has been blighted for a very long time. So I hope you'll support us doing this transaction today. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll, and please tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That's approved. If we can go back to the next item, please. In this meeting.
Item 28 was called special by Councilmember Parks, and there are cards on that.
Okay, Mr. Sachs, do you want to speak 1 minute on item 28?
Mr. President, I believe Mr. Alarcon and Mr. Cardenas have something to say.
Oh, okay. Before we have any public comment, I'm sorry, Mr. Alarcon, Mr.
Yeah, just for the record, on the same matter, on the advice of the city attorney, I'm recusing myself because one of the parties involved is my lawyer. So.
Okay, Mr. Cardenas.
On the same note, one of the parties involved is my lawyer, so on the advice of the city attorney, I'll be recusing myself.
Okay, that with 11 members, that would take us down to 9 members, colleagues. So we can't hear public comment on this, and we can't act on this. Well, this will carry over until Tuesday. Okay. Tuesday the 17th. Excuse me. Let's take them off briefly to show the record reflecting that. Ms. Perry had to go to the South Coast Air Quality Management District, where she sits on the board, and with the vacancy and Mr. Labange's excuse, that took us under. So with that, if we can go back to the regular meeting.
So you wish to adjourn the special meeting?
Special meeting, yes, please. And next order of business.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Labange requests to be excused Tuesday, December 1st, to leave at 11 a.m. for city business. That meets council policy.
He is excused.
Councilmember Garcetti requests to be excused Friday, December 4th, for city business, and motion is required.
All right. Mr. Zine moves. Mr. Park seconds. That excuse is granted.
Councilmember Koretz requests to be excused Tuesday, November 24th, to arrive at 11 for city business. That meets council policy.
Okay, he is excused.
And Councilmember Rosendahl requests to be excused Tuesday, December 1st, to leave at noon for personal business. That meets council policy.
Okay, he is excused as well.
And that clears the desk.
Any announcements, colleagues? And everything will go forthwith today without objection. Any announcements? If there are no announcements. Yes, Mr. Weezer.
The East LA Classic is tonight, the 75th anniversary, one of the largest football games attended every year, and it is at East LA College. Kickoff, I think, is at 7 for varsity, and we have the pre-varsity before that, but it's a great game for any of you alum who want to go to the Roosevelt Garfield East LA Classic tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any predictions?
It's hard to say. You can't never know what's going to happen to these big games.
All right. Mr. Zine finally found his thing.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Sunday, November 8th, at 1 p.m., the 30th Annual San Fernando Valley Crop Hunger Walk Run, St. Paul's United Methodist Church, 5619 Lindley Avenue in Tarzana. It's a large crowd that always turns out, and we gather to help those in need, and it's a major event for raising dollars for food. The 30th Annual San Fernando Valley Crop Hunger Walk Run. Again, it's 5619 Lindley in Tarzana, St. Paul's United Methodist Church. So we invite people in the community to come out and support that. Thank you.
Mr. Parks.
President, just want to announce that the #1 high school football team in the city of Los Angeles, Crenshaw High School, plays its arch rival Darcy tonight at 7 at Crenshaw High School, and we hope that they will remain victorious as they've done so far. They're undefeated. And also, just for general information, many of us have met some of the folks that are responsible, but the Bill Pickett African American Rodeo is back in the community at the Industry Hills Expo Center on Saturday and Sunday. So,
any other announcements, colleagues? Mr. Rosendahl?
To the Fort Hood situation there and what took place there. Having been in the military and knowing what that's like, I just couldn't believe it. And may the families of those that were killed, the 13 of them, and the 30 or so that were wounded, we give them our greatest sympathy and our greatest support for what they do for our great nation.
Absolutely. And I think what I was going to ask folks to do is a moment of silence at the very end, so maybe we'll do that as well. Do we have any other announcements? If not, can everybody please rise for adjourning motions? And if we may, why don't we just start with a moment of silence first, and then we'll go to Mr. Cardenas. If I can ask everybody for a moment of silence in memory of the brave men and women who were shot yesterday in Fort Hood. Thank you. Mr. Cardenas, for another adjourning motion.
Yes. With great sadness, I announce the passing of Lawrence Raymond Fleischer. He passed away Sunday, November 1st, 2009, and he was born on October 11th, 1945. And the circumstances of his death are as follows. After returning home from the American Sign Language Teachers Association conference in Phoenix, Arizona, where he was the EndNote speaker, Mr. Fleischer collapsed and went into full arrest after arriving at Bob Hope Airport Sunday evening and died at Providence St. Joseph Medical Center in Burbank. Lawrence Fleischer graduated from the New York School of the Deaf, also known as Fanwood, and graduated with a bachelor's degree from Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., where he was a member of the football team and the baseball teams. He received his Doctor of Education degree in Educational Administration from Brigham Young University in 1975 and taught mathematics at his alma mater, Gallaudet, for 3 years before joining the faculty at the California State University, Northridge. Lawrence is considered a major architect of the Deaf Studies program at CSUN since it began in 1975. The Deaf Studies program became a full-fledged department at CSUN in 1994 and now has over 475 majors enrolled today. Mr. Fleischer had additional extensive experience serving other organizations that benefit deaf people, including the President of the Council on Education of the Deaf, President of the American Sign Language Teachers Association, and members of the National Certification Board of the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf. He also is an author of numerous books and magazines and articles, and was a film producer on topics related to American Sign Language and deaf culture. He's survived by his wife Vera, daughter Flavia, son Flan, granddaughter Risa. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. I'd like us to join in the memory of Dr. Max Negri, who passed away Tuesday at the age of 84. Dr. Negri was a fixture in the South Bay, both as a surgeon and as a philanthropist. He was born in 1925 and raised in East Los Angeles. He graduated from Roosevelt High School and then was drafted in the Army, fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and was wounded in Germany, earning him a Purple Heart. Dr. Negri's rehabilitation inspired him to become an orthopedic surgeon. He went on to receive his undergraduate and medical degrees from USC, where he was also a gymnast. He was the first orthopedic resident at what is now County Harbor UCLA Medical Center. For 30 years, he practiced surgery at Little Company of Mary Hospital in Torrance, where he specialized in complicated spinal operations. He made countless donations over the years, funding the Negri Learning Center in Rolling Hills Estates and making generous donations to Marymount College and Cabrillo Marine Aquarium in San Pedro. Dr. Negri had 7 children with his first wife, Gloria, and after her death in 1974, he and his second wife, Anna, blended their families, which amounted to 17 children in all. He's survived by Anna and all their 17 children, along with 31 great-grandchildren and 31 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. He was certainly a unique man. I knew him, and he will never be forgotten or missed. I'd also like us to adjourn in the memory of Bogdan Luchev, who passed away just Saturday, just shy of his 74th birthday. He was born in Croatia. Bogdan came to the United States at the age of 24. He spent his career working in the shipyard industry at Bethlehem Steel, Ocean Voyage, and Southwest Marine, building and repairing ships and submarines. Bogdan was a big Croatian community activist. He belonged and served in various capacities to the Croatian American Club and the Croatian Cultural Center, which he pioneered alongside several community members. He was a lover of politics and local causes. He campaigned for many local political leaders, including myself, and he was really passionate about making a difference. Bogdan is survived by his brother Ivan and nephew Vladimir in Croatia, his wife Anita, sons George and Daniel, stepdaughter Anita, son-in-law Paul, 5 grandchildren, as well as several other cousins and extended family members. Bogdan's final resting place will be in the Luchev family mausoleum in Croatia. The family requests that in lieu of flowers, donations may be sent to the name of Bogdan Luchev to the UCLA Alzheimer's Disease Center. One more, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of John McTaggart, who died after a long battle with cancer just Wednesday at the age of 79. John was known as Mr. RPV because he served as a Rancho Palos Verdes councilman for 20 years. In fact, he was in the middle of a bid to return to the city council when he died. One of the last things he did was cast a ballot in the election on Tuesday. He grew up in Los Angeles, met his future wife, Flo, at age 15. They moved to the then unincorporated area of Palos Verdes Peninsula in 1963, and McTaggart eventually commuted to Hughes Aircraft in Westchester, where he was an engineer. In the days before the area became incorporated, Mr. McTaggart spent many late nights with dozens of other area residents who wanted to protect the Palos Verdes Peninsula coastline from overdevelopment. Eventually, in 1973, they succeeded in incorporating Rancho Palos Verdes. He served 8 years on the Planning Commission before he was elected to the City Council, and at a debate just last month, he said that he used to carry around a ragged copy of the city's general plan in his trunk so he could pull it out on another council member to see if they knew what they were talking about. He was totally dedicated to his job. He was quite a character. I enjoyed knowing him. And he's survived by his wife, Flo, 2 sons, Clark and Michael, 2 daughters, Jean and Stephanie, 3 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. He showed only 1 absence in his entire time on the city council, and that's when he had brain surgery. So rest in peace, John Matager.
Thank you to all members on that. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of a relative of one of our city family. Donna Nishimura, aged 52, is a sister of Len Ozawa from the CLA's office and our budget analyst, died suddenly on Thursday morning of cancer. Donna was a court reporter for LA Superior Court, and she's survived by her father, sister Lynn, a niece Stephanie, nephew Robert, and many other family members. Funeral services are pending. I'd also ask that we adjourn. Okay. All members. Also ask that we adjourn in memory of Jewel Randolph, who passed away at the age of 92 on October 29, 2009 at Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital after a brief illness. She's a resident of the 8th District for 40-plus years. She received her formal education in the Los Angeles area. She was a LA Unified school teacher for 36 years, retiring in 1984. And she was teaching at that time at Palmerly Elementary School. She was an avid reader and traveler, and she was preceded in death by her husband, John, and her son, Christopher. She is a member of St. Bernadette's Catholic Church, where she was in regular attendance. She was so active, even in her later years in moving into an assisted living facility, that she was designated as an ambassador because of her interest in current event and political issues. Her caregiver, which is my sister-in-law, Rosa Lyons, has been her primary caregiver for 13 years and advises that her funeral services are pending.
Thank you. Do we have any other adjourning motions, colleagues? If not, we will not be in session next week in order to attend the National League of Cities Conference with our peers around the country, discussing stimulus dollars, discussing public policy and other matters. And we will next be in session a week from Tuesday. That will be the 17th. In the meantime, have a good week, everybody, and we will see you then. This meeting of Los Angeles City Council is adjourned.